Chapter 1453. The Demon Great Altar was one of the many forbidden grounds in the demon battlefield. Without the permission of the higher-ups, even high-tier holy demon kings would be blasted to smithereens. The Demon Great Altar was built at the edge of the demon battlefield. It was the location closest to the core of the Great War of the Nine Races. The Demon Great Altar was the most important place to maintain the demon battlefield. If not for the altar being maintained by dozens of powerful holy demon kings and 10 primordial ogres, the demon battlefield would be like any other planar space. One could only enter when the time came. At this moment, inside the Demon Great Altar, the 10 primordial ogres were continuously injecting their own energy into the altar. The whirling pitch-black holes above their heads became deeper and darker. The beautiful dark green woman looked up and waved her huge tail. She trembled with excitement and exclaimed softly, "After so many years of maintaining and persevering, the time is finally coming." The cold and ruthless gray-robed old man couldn't help but sigh. "That's right. This damned thing simply can't be fed." Fortunately, in the next few days, when the altar accumulates enough energy, the demon battlefield will be able to accommodate a demon lord. The other ogres looked at each other and discussed. "That's right. We can't afford to make any mistakes at this juncture." A green ogre with 3 huge pythons coiling around his body spoke in a low, muffled voice. "For this moment, we can't let down the wishes of our ancestors." 2 ogres with feathers all over their bodies and hands like claws cackled sinisterly. "As long as the demon battlefield can accommodate a demon lord, we can stabilize the altar with Lord Demon Lord's cultivation and continue to send energy back. This cycle will allow even more demon lords to enter. When the time comes, with the demon blood of samsara that Lord Demon Lord obtained from the great emperor, the primordial demon lords buried here will all be able to awaken. One day, we demons will be able to let a great emperor enter this place. Then, more than half of the secrets of the demon battlefield will belong to us demons." The conversation of the 9 ogres caused the 10th ogres to open their eyes. It was a silver-haired demon, and it looked like a 15 or 16-year-old human youth. Its silver-gray eyes were covered in dense dragon patterns, and there was a hideous scar at the corner of its eye that looked as if it had been cut by a knife. When he spoke, his voice was hoarse and vicious. "It said that the item that caused the Great War can allow our clan's Grand Emperor to ascend to a realm that he could only dream of." As soon as these words were spoken, the entire place fell silent. The demon monarch could create billions of demon clans with a single thought. In the blink of an eye, he could turn the world upside down and destroy tens of thousands of planes. Every great emperor of the demon clan was the pinnacle of the demon clan. They were the creators of the demon clan's history for billions of eras. Every great emperor was an existence that rivaled the true gods of the human race. However, at some point in time, the great emperors who had yet to appear appeared one after another. They pointed their swords at the various races, especially the human race, and waged war over and over again, fighting for countless epochs. There was once a rumor that the great emperors had discovered that the peak of the devil race was not the great emperor realm. There were even higher realms. The great emperors once called this realm the demonic god king. Once a great emperor became the demonic god king, the devil race, which had been divided for countless years, would welcome an unprecedented unification and sweep through all the other races. The legend of the demonic god king is ultimately just a legend. The various races are not as strong as before. If the great emperors of our race join forces, we will definitely be able to devour all the other races. In the Divine River star system, there are still the true gods of the human race's sacred boundary. In the dragon race, there are still divine dragons suppressing the heavens. After the great war between the 9 races, a new race, the demonic tribe, rose. Although their bloodline is lowly, they have a great emperor who broke into the human race's sacred boundary alone. The situation is not clear yet, and any war could lead to the other races besieging the devil race. By the way, why don't we go and suppress the eternal sacred fire's demon cave? Rumble. The silver-haired demon king unleashed a terrifying aura and looked at the demons with a strong deterrent force. The 9 ancient giant demons looked at each other. As if they had touched upon some taboo, they immediately shut their mouth. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Ripples appeared in space, attracting the attention of the 10 demon kings present. What's going on? Why is space shaking nearby? Who dares to act rashly here? Just as the demon kings were puzzled, there was a commotion outside. Whoosh! 2 peak-level holy demon kings with the heads of birds and the bodies of human beings rushed into the sacrificial altar. Their bodies were grayish-white, and their demonic bodies were like pillars of the heavens. The 10 demon kings narrowed their eyes. What was going on this time? In the past, they had to report to the demonic tribe when they approached the devil race's altar. They could only enter after obtaining permission. The 2 top-level holy demon kings did not even greet each other as they rushed in anxiously and hurriedly asked, "Lords, a human has invaded our battlefield. He has broken through the encirclement of all the top-tier holy demon kings." The moment they said that, there was an uproar. Boom, boom, boom. 3 of the 10 demon kings were so shocked that they stood up. Hey, 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 what kind of joke is this? This is the demonic tribe's main camp. Who dares to barge in here? And it's a freaking human? A human? A human dares to barge into our battlefield? How dare he? This king will personally destroy him. The 3 demon kings immediately turned from shock to anger. Their murderous aura surged, and the air around them was torn apart like a whirlwind. The entire sky was instantly filled with wind and clouds. Killing intent soared into the sky. Terrifying demonic chi roared like an evil dragon, causing the mountains and rivers to tremble. Each of the 10 demon kings was comparable to a heaven-opening realm cultivator. The 2 top-tier demon kings hurriedly said, "Lords, according to the information brought back by the flying fiend, the human who barged into our battlefield is the same person as the one who killed 100 high-level holy demon kings and 29 top-tier holy demon kings." The moment they said that, all the demon kings were enraged. Damn it! I haven't even gone to settle the score with him, and he dares to come knocking on our door. Does he really think that our demonic tribe has no experts? Another 2 demon kings stood up. They were furious. As top-tier demons, their dignity seemed to have been greatly humiliated. Just as the 2 top-tier holy demon kings were about to continue reporting, chi. Bang, bang, bang. A series of explosions occurred in the entire demonic tribe's altar hall, and it started to shake. Rumble. Golden light flashed, and a loud explosion resounded. The barrier of the demonic tribe's altar hall was broken, and the roof of the hall was instantly blasted open. Bang, bang, bang. 3 demonic coffins pierced through the hall like shooting stars and landed on the altar. Smoke signals wreaked havoc and dust swirled in the air. When the 10 demon kings saw this, their pupils involuntarily shrank. "Hey, hey, hey, it's fake, right?" muttered one of the demon kings. Above the demonic coffins, smoke and dust billowed. A young man in a silver robe stood with his arms crossed. He stood on the ancient demon venerable coffin and looked straight at the 10 demon kings. He had a mocking smile on his face, not showing the slightest hint of fear. The demon kings were shocked and shocked. He had actually killed his way to the demonic tribe's great altar alone. Since ancient times, not a single human had dared to enter the demonic tribe's battlefield, let alone do such a daring and heaven-defying thing. This brat was the first. Lin Chen, standing on a coffin, descending from the sky to the demonic tribe's great altar. Chapter 1454. After the War of the 9 Races, no living being had ever dared to enter the 9 Races battlefield, not to mention a human. This extremely impactful scene stunned even the 10 demon kings. When they saw the demon lord's coffin under Lin Chen's feet, they were even more shocked. Damn it, what kind of joke is this? Did this kid step on the Demon Lord's coffin? What's going on? Even our Saint Demon Kings can't get close to the Demon Lord's burial hall. How did this human throw the Demon Lord's coffin over? The Saint Demon Kings couldn't hide their shock. Back then, in order to find the remains of the exalted demon, the 10 great demon kings had gathered several dozen extremely powerful peak Saint Demon Kings to carry the remains back. After that, they had to build the coffin to preserve the Demon Lord's remains, which took more than 10,000 years. Even the 10 demon kings couldn't move the Demon Lord's remains easily. How could a human boy bring them to the altars of the Devil Clan? Smack! Lin Chen snapped his fingers and looked at the 10 Saint Demon Kings with a mocking smile. What do you mean by surprise? What do you mean by surprise? The pleasant surprise is that I, the handsome Lin Chen, did not step on the rainbow clouds and kick the demonic coffin while singing and killing my way here. The Demon Kings were shocked. I remember now. It's Lin Chen. Could it be that Lin Chen that the human clear sky Saint King asked us to pay attention to? Damn it, there's such a thing in the world? How can this kid be so daring? How dare you attack the great sacrificial altar of our demon battlefield? Boom! The Saint Demon King with the appearance of a silver-haired youth reacted the fastest. Demonic aura surged, and he struck out with his palm. The Yin aura rolled like a dragon's claw toward Lin Chen. Human die. Slow rune. A slow rune with 10,000 points of rune energy. When the space froze, the slow rune exploded and was crushed into pieces by the Yin dragon's claw. 2 figures turned into lightning and punched out. Bang! 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 The Yin dragon claw exploded, sending shockwaves into the sky. Space rippled, and the entire great devil sacrificial altar shook violently. It was Lin Chen's, Xing Long and Lin Ping'an. 1 man and 1 dragon had joined forces to break the strongest Demon King's attack. Damn it, Tianyin, you're crazy. Why are you fighting with him here? The altar has collapsed. All our efforts over the years have been in vain. The 10 Demon Kings cursed angrily through voice transmission. However, their voice transmissions did not avoid Lin Chen. Lin Chen had already awakened Perception Awakening. After the Heavenly Stairway competition, and the heaven-opening realm's sound transmissions could not be hidden from him, Lin Chen. The altar cannot collapse? I think I heard something good. A deranged smile appeared on Lin Fan's face as he equipped the 4-piece God of War set, upon which the might of a God of War capable of destroying countless worlds erupted into the heavens. Lin Chen's pure strength instantly soared, breaking through 300 trillion, 400 trillion, 500 trillion dragon energy. Before the 10 demon kings could react, golden light condensed into armor, and the wind from his fist transformed into a ray of divine light. Lin Chen's fist smashed into the altar. Chi! Bang! 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 The entire fiend race's great sacrificial altar was broken apart by Lin Chen's punch, flipping it into 2 halves. Boom! 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 The air howled and the wind howled. With the great devil sacrificial altar as the center, the earth veins in a radius of several 100,000 li suddenly ruptured, forming terrifying cracks that looked like giant pythons crawling through them. Demonic chi as terrifying as an abyss suddenly erupted from the bottom of the altar, sending Lin Chen and Lin Ping'an flying. The 10 demon kings were dumbfounded. Damn it, this human brat was poisonous. It was as if he knew the devil race's plans. First, he destroyed the ancient demon Venerable's coffin, then he destroyed their great devil sacrificial altar. Stabilized the altar's energy first. The 10 demon kings had experienced many big situations. Lin Chen could not scare them. The 10 demon kings immediately stood in one direction, releasing their demonic chi to stabilize the altar's fragments, barely managing to stabilize the situation. Rumble! After stabilizing the altar for a short while, the silver-haired demon king took a step forward, his demonic chi covering the sky. The silver-haired demon king shouted, "Kill this brat! Don't let him endanger my race's plan. Leave 5 to maintain the altar. The rest follow me. Don't let him escape." 4 demon kings immediately stood out, their demonic chi filling the entire altar. The other 5 demon kings formed seals with their hands and pressed down on the altar. The pitch-black demonic chi wrapped around the altar, completely stabilizing it. The 2 peak-level holy demon kings who had come to report immediately retreated. Dragon demon sealing. The silver-haired demon king formed seals with his hands, and the demon veins on the surface of his demon body surged with demonic chi. 3 dragon shadows appeared behind him. When the dragon shadows roared towards the sky, they erupted with boundless demonic chi, sealing the surrounding space. This was to separate Lin Chen and the others, not allowing them to approach the broken altar. The second was to completely kill Lin Chen and prevent him from escaping. Lin Chen did not panic. He looked at all the demon kings present and then looked below the altar. Below the demon race's altar was the source of the war god attribute light. If Lin Chen wanted to obtain the attribute light of this war god component, he had to completely destroy the altar. 10 peak holy demon kings comparable to the heaven-opening realm, huh? This will be a tough battle. My rune energy is only at 4.62 million. Against Sacred Heart Realm experts, I can completely suppress them, but against heaven-opening realm experts, that's not necessarily the case. Let's go all out. Lin Chen's fighting spirit soared. He controlled the holy dragon to sweep its tail. Furious waves surged as he activated instant light doppelganger. 5 extreme heavenly prisons descended. What the hell is this? This brat actually has a dragon as a helper. Be careful. The 4 demon kings were obstructed. They transformed into their demon forms and fought fiercely against the extreme heavenly prison that was coming at them. With the strength of the holy dragon's dragon bloodline, the transcendent divine ability, extreme heavenly prisons, was extremely powerful. It could trap and even injure Sacred Heart Realm experts. Even heaven-opening realm experts might not be able to break through it immediately. After delaying the 4 demon kings, Lin Chen remained calm and smiled at Lin Ping'an. "Ping'an, it's your turn to perform. This time, you can release 90% of your strength and defeat them all." Lin Ping'an was overjoyed. 90%? Wow, then I'll have to reward you after this. Lin Chen smiled and nodded. No problem. After robbing many dragon race monsters, Lin Chen had obtained quite a few spirit plants. Even if Lin Ping'an ran out of mid-grade spirit plants, he would be able to immediately replenish them. The reason why Lin Ping'an and the Holy Dragon were able to withstand the silver-haired Demon King's attacks was largely because the slowing rune had weakened his attacks. In a one-on-one battle, Lin Ping'an had to use even more strength than when he annihilated the demons that day. "Human. Trash like this can't stop me. Chi. Rip." One of the extreme heavenly prisons was torn apart. The silver-haired Demon King stepped on a majestic demonic wave and tore with one hand, and a demonic hand that covered the sky came crashing down. Lin Ping'an gently tapped the mark between her eyebrows with her fingertips, and she floated up. Her eyes turned purple-black and filled with the aura of death. The aura of disaster around her body roared like clouds and dragons. "You don't have the right to touch him." Lin Ping'an pulled with her slender hand and tore apart the demonic chi palm in the sky. "She's the pain calamity? She's much stronger than the intelligence report." The silver-haired Demon King narrowed his eyes. Even he had to be careful of such a ferocious being like the pain calamity. The next moment, Lin Chen suddenly shouted coldly, "War God set, activate." Buzz. The golden light of the war god exploded from Lin Chen's body. 4 top-tier holy demon kings can't stop me, Lin Chen. Lin Chen, who was bathed in golden light, smiled coldly, and his domineering aura surged. This was the first time he had activated all 4 pieces of the war god set. Chapter 1455. If the fiendish aura of the demon race was as sharp as a blade, then the calamity energy of the painful calamity was more like a saw. As long as one was cut, their flesh would be torn apart. Lin Ping An's petite body flashed, and he attacked like a shooting star. The silver-haired demon king immediately met him head-on. Boom! Chi! Bang! 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 The two of them clashed, their might shocking the heavens and the earth. What was even more terrifying was that their attacks were not very powerful, but each attack could cause terrifying explosions in space. Spatial shift was a special battle technique that could only be used by those who had reached the heaven-opening realm. It allowed the users every attack to concentrate on a certain area. Although the power seemed to be weakened, it could actually greatly increase the damage. This was also why the attacks of those at the Saint Heart realm could destroy the heavens and earth, while those at the heaven-opening realm could only feel ordinary. It was because the latter's battle techniques and attacks were more advanced. 1. Rumble! The Saint Dragon coiled, and golden light filled the sky, releasing the invincible might of the war god. Lin Chen stepped forward. Chi! Bang! The entire southernmost region of the demon race's battlefield trembled. This is divine might? How strange! This king has never seen such divine might before. It's completely different from the human gods. That human actually managed to kill his way into the altar. Should we go over and help? Don't act rashly. Back then, the 10 lords personally instructed that without their orders, no one is to approach the altar. Groups of high-level Saint Demon Kings and a small number of top-level Saint Demon Kings stood far away from the altar. The altar was related to the future of the demon race's battlefield, and it was also related to the secrets of the Great War of the 9 races. Back then, they had been given a death order. Anyone who approached without permission would die. 550 trillion dragon power, 650 trillion dragon power, 800 trillion dragon power. Lin Chen's pure strength soared. It rose to a height that even he could not imagine. In the end, it stopped at 899 trillion dragon power. This was the limit that his flesh shell holy body could bear at this stage. This is my current limit. 899 trillion dragon power. Compared to my original body's pure strength, it has increased by nearly 30 times. Lin Chen's breath swept past like a hurricane, sweeping away the clouds. His eyes contained millions upon millions of golden divine radiance. With a single glance, divine light crushed past and opened up the heavens. Lin Chen's entire body was flowing with golden light, making him look like a god of war who had descended to the mortal world. His battle prowess was invincible. I wonder if this power can kill a heaven-opening cultivator without the innate talent of a heaven-defying cultivator. Lin Chen was filled with pride and arrogance. He swept his gaze across and locked onto the 4 demon kings. The 4 demon kings' pupils couldn't help but shrink. This power was even stronger than theirs by a notch. Lin Chen stomped his foot and turned into a beam of light that shot towards the green-eyed old man in the extreme prison, heavenly prison, at an extreme speed. He didn't need any movement techniques at all. His pure strength was his most terrifying speed. Boom! Lin Chen raised his hand and clenched it into a fist. A vortex of air formed around him, and the center of the vortex was the fist of the war god that Lin Chen had retracted to his dantian. Lin Chen's fist met the green-eyed demon king head-on. Hidden demon heart-devouring claw. The green-eyed demon king tore horizontally. One fist and one claw met head-on. Chi! Bang! A small-scale explosion occurred between the man and the demon, but it also blasted a hole in the extreme prison, heavenly prison. Blood flowed from the corner of the green-eyed demon king's mouth. Its demon body cracked, and spiderweb-like cracks appeared on its scales. Before the green-eyed demon king could recover, it discovered to its horror that its injuries couldn't be healed and were continuing to expand. System, super chaos. Lin Chen roared in his heart. The green-eyed demon king's body became abnormal again, and its chi and blood became chaotic. Right on the heels of that, another slow rune exploded on its head. In addition, Lin Chen's body spun at an extreme speed. The divine battle greaves emitted a blinding golden light that resembled a golden whirlwind. Lin Chen swept out a kick that landed right on the back of his opponent. Boom! Lin Chen sent the green-eyed demon king flying with a kick and continued his attack. Consumed 19. 8 million advanced talent points. Orange talent. Annihilation, Super Chaos. Successful activation. Number of activations, 11. Target, 4. The stronger the enemy, the more terrifying the consumption of talent points. This consumption had consumed 2% of Lin Chen's total talent points. Oh no. Is OL Fiend injured? Damn it, this human brat is a little wild. Something's wrong. My demon body is a little chaotic. The other 3 demon kings had their own abnormalities. They persisted in unleashing their killer moves and charged out of the extreme prison Heavenly Prison's restraints to attack Lin Chen. When they were in the extreme prison Heavenly Prison, the 4 demon kings had been disturbed by the dragon breath attacks many times, triggering the super chaos talent many times. Lin Chen's fists were like dragons as he rapidly punched the green-eyed demon king, leaving behind afterimages as he attacked. The green-eyed demon king attempted to resist, but it was shattered and beaten back by Lin Chen's attacks time and time again. Consecutive punches, knee strikes, elbow strikes, whip kicks, etc. Lin Chen's melee attacks could be said to be crazy. He was like a gale of lightning, truly 1,000 strikes in an instant. In just a breath's time, he had unleashed over 1,000 melee attacks. Every single one of his attacks contained over 850 trillion dragon power points worth of destructive power. Even when the 3 demon kings arrived as reinforcements, he wasn't afraid. He targeted the green-eyed demon king and unleashed a barrage of attacks. When the 3 demon kings attempted to disrupt his attacks, Lin Chen maintained the slow rune the entire time. He couldn't stop at all. The first attack was the slow rune with over 10,000 points of top-grade rune energy. Boom! 5 heavenly dragon claws slashed down and hit 2 demon kings, causing them to retreat. The holy dragon danced in the air, its dragon roar shaking the heavens and earth. Lin Chen's holy dragon was also cooperating with Lin Chen's attacks. 2 demon kings attempted to break through the holy dragon's attacks, but they were shocked to find that the dragon's attacks couldn't heal them. The wounds would slowly expand. It was a slow killing machine. The holy dragon's attacks also had the effect of the extermination talent. It couldn't be underestimated at all. Once hit, the injuries wouldn't stop. It wasn't over yet. Lin Chen's shoulders shook, and 6 illusionary doppelgangers appeared with grade 7 sacred artifacts in their hands. Clang! 1 doppelganger slashed out with God's tears, and the other doppelgangers followed up with the Lotus Dance. Lotus saber shadows covered the sky, and saber energy fragments rained down like rain. An arrow pierced through heaven and earth, and a sword's starlight lasted for billions of years. The sky was filled with dazzling attacks. Another demon king's reinforcements were disrupted. The 7 people and 1 dragon had a tacit understanding of each other. They fought with the 4 demon kings in the sky alone, turning the sky and earth upside down. Down in the sky, the 5 demon kings who were maintaining and repairing the broken demon altar were dumbfounded when they saw this scene. This Lin Chen was 2F** king strong, blocking 4 great demon kings by himself? Most importantly, from their experience, Lin Chen's pure strength could only suppress the 4 demon kings at most. His holy dragon was also some distance away from the heaven-opening realm. If he wanted to rely on his own strength to suppress the 4 demon kings, there was obviously a huge gap between them. It was basically impossible. Chapter 1456. The cultivation of the Saint Realm was mainly divided into several levels. The seventh layer of the receiving star realm would gather all their saint power into a new saint point and condense it into the size of a planet. A receiving star realm cultivator could increase their saint power by 0.2 times by opening a saint point. If converted to dragon power, opening 10 saint points would increase their saint power by 2 times. A receiving star realm cultivator could control 3 times the power of a life and death realm cultivator. For example, if a monster rank cultivator expanded his saint power by 250 times and condensed his saint power by 50 times, he could control 37 trillion dragon power by the time he reached life and death realm. If this monster could advance to the peak of the Na Xing realm and open 70 saint acupoints, the foundation of saint power that he could control would be around 112 trillion dragon power. However, a foundation was a foundation, and a real battle was a real battle. They couldn't be mixed together. Moreover, not all receiving star realm cultivators had the talent of a monster rank cultivator. If a super genius on the monster ranking had a basic holy power of 112 trillion dragon power points when he was in the complete life and death realm, he would have a high chance of winning against a complete star realm cultivator with the same basic holy power. Just as life and death realm cultivators had the advantage of increasing their saint body's recovery ability, receiving star realm cultivators had the advantage of increasing their saint power's explosive power. Saint points were as majestic as planets, and their explosive power would far exceed the saint power's basic saint power. In the saint heart realm, every saint point opened could increase one's saint power by 0.1 times. If converted to dragon power, opening 10 saint points would increase one's saint power by 1 times. Using the monster rank cultivator's example, reaching life and death realm meant reaching life and death realm with 225 trillion dragon power. However, Saint Heart realm cultivators were all at the top of the monster rank, and some were even at the top. Therefore, most Saint Heart realm cultivators had to surpass the minimum threshold of 225 trillion dragon power. The Saint Heart realm's strongest advantage was opening 10 saint point. As long as the saint heart was not destroyed, the saint would not die. However, it was different for heaven-opening realm cultivators. Opening 1 saint point would increase their saint power by 400 trillion dragon power. As for how much saint power they could open, it depended on the saint's previous accumulation to determine whether they could open more saint point spaces to accommodate more saint power. After Lin Chen used the 4-piece God of War set, the limit of the increase was 899 trillion dragon power. He was slightly stronger than most heaven-opening experts who had opened 81 saint apertures, but he was still much weaker than those who had opened 82 saint apertures. However, Lin Chen still had many killer moves. It was these killer moves combined with his 4-piece War God set that allowed him to achieve this unprecedented feat of 1 versus 4. In this battle, they couldn't fight head-on with the other party. If they did that, they would be exhausted to death. They had to pick a target to fight. He had to defeat them one by one. Lin Chen's 6 clones stopped one of the Fiend Kings at the cost of their lives. The Holy Dragon, on the other hand, stalled the other 2 Fiend Kings with many transcendent techniques, together with the Slowing Rune and Super Chaos. Boom! In the air, Lin Chen's fist struck the green-eyed Demon King's head, followed by a whipping kick that slashed across its waist. When the green-eyed Demon King was sent flying, Lin Chen chased after him like a madman, and punched dozens of times at the vital points of the Demon King's upper body. TSK. Bang, bang, bang. Lin Chen struck 1,000 times in an instant, and in less than 50 breaths. He finally heavily injured the green-eyed Demon King, who was vomiting blood. Attribute light balls fell all over the sky. Soon, I'll hit it again, and this old guy will definitely die. I'll continue to worsen its injuries. Lin Chen made up his mind. He wasn't even in a hurry to put away the attribute light balls. He rushed up and chased after the Demon King. This was the terrifying part of Annihilation Wound. Lin Chen's annihilation rupture wound after leveling up, caused the injuries to snowball. It could be said that Lin Chen's annihilation rupture wound could completely suppress all saints and saints. Damn it, human brat, you forced me to do this. The green-eyed demon king was so angry that it vomited blood and roared. Demonic chi surged all over its body, flashing and expanding rapidly like a star core, and its energy rose rapidly. Old fiend. Damn it, this brat forced me to self-destruct. Although I won't die after self-destructing, my cultivation will be destroyed. The three demon kings sighed inwardly and instantly retreated. Even the silver-haired demon king couldn't help but stop midway and retreat with Lin Pingyan. The self-destruction of a peak saint demon king comparable to a heaven-opening realm expert would be destructive. If he was caught in the explosion at close range, he would probably be heavily injured or even on the verge of death. The green-eyed demon king was also forced into a dead end. Lin Chen had too many tricks up his sleeve. It could be said that he was dazzled, and he couldn't guard against it. Super chaos affected his battle strength, slow rune interrupted his attacks, and annihilation wound worsened his injuries. With all three, it would be hard for him not to die. However, the scene that all the demon kings expected did not appear. In the next instant their scalps went numb. Facing the rapidly expanding green-eyed demon king that was about to self-destruct, Lin Chen didn't retreat. Instead, he charged forward. Are you King crazy? The demon kings were dumbfounded. They saw Lin Chen's palm strike the green-eyed demon king's chest. When his palm touched the demon king's body, Lin Chen's lips curled upwards, causing the green-eyed demon king's pupils to shrink. He smelled the scent of a scheme. Lin Chen shouted coldly, "Transcendence Spacetime." 1. A green light flashed, and the green-eyed demon king disappeared. It wasn't over yet. After Lin Chen activated his chrono-transcendence talent, in the time it took for a spark to fly off a piece of flint, he suddenly clenched his fist and let out another roar. Transcendence teleportation. Whoosh! A purple light descended, and the green-eyed demon king's body that was about to self-destruct was teleported by Lin Chen to the demon race's great altar. What? All the demon kings were shocked. Chi! Boom! An unprecedentedly large explosion swept up. The energy storm spread for 1,000 li, 10,000 li, 100,000 li. It filled the sky and filled the sky. Then, it tore the silver-haired demon king's demonic chi barrier in half. Some of the remaining 9 demon kings were sent flying, some were injured, and some were sent spiraling into the sky. But more importantly, the demon race's great altar was completely blown to pieces. Success. Ah! Transcendence spacetime is rarely used against Sacred Heart experts. Once experts above Sacred Heart experts seal the space, Transcendence spacetime is almost useless. Although Transcendence spacetime couldn't be used when experts above Sacred Heart experts sealed the space, it could be used in Transcendence spacetime. Lin Chen's Transcendence spacetime could suck the enemy into his Transcendence spacetime dimension, but the higher the opponent's cultivation, the higher the probability of failure. Lin Chen took advantage of the moment when the green-eyed demon king was unprepared and activated his Transcendence spacetime dimension. The success rate was almost 100% and sucked the green-eyed demon king into the Transcendence spacetime dimension. Then, he threw it out from the Transcendence spacetime dimension using the Transcendence spacetime dimension, which was equivalent to throwing a super bomb on the demon race's great altar. It couldn't be helped. After all, both humans and demons found it hard to imagine that a lunatic like Lin Chen would fly toward a self-destructing sacred demon king. This wasn't a suicidal act. It was equivalent to an ordinary person lighting a firecracker at the last moment. Who would suddenly rush up and grab the firecracker at the last moment. Wasn't this the behavior of a lunatic? The demon race's great altar has exploded. It's now. Lin Chen's heartbeat quietly quickened. The 5th piece of his Aries set was right in front of him. Chapter 1457. Lin Chen absorbed the holy dragon and his doppelganger into his body and used pure energy to form a dragon force domain to protect himself. After confirming that Lin Ping and was fine, he stared at the blooming demonic qi storm, which continued to wreak havoc. The self-destruction of a holy demon king comparable to a heaven-opening realm expert was naturally destructive, and it could easily kill dozens of people. Those devils who tried to approach the altar were instantly annihilated into pieces when they were affected by this energy. Even the demon venerable in the ancient coffin had a few holes in it. However, Lin Chen did not regret it. He tried to use the decomposition function to decompose the demon venerable's remains, but the attribute points he obtained were barely satisfactory. Furthermore, it required 5,000 high-grade Heaven's Path points to decompose it once. Lin Chen only had 40,000 high-grade Heaven's Path points left. Decomposing 7 or 8 demon venerable corpses would use up all his wealth. The Heaven's Path points had many uses, and he could not bear to waste them here. The attribute points dropped by the demons were mainly talent points, strengthening points, and high-grade qi and blood. Although Lin Chen lacked these attributes, they were not as important as the awakening function brought by the Heaven's Path points. The energy has dissipated. Lin Chen stepped on the air and rushed into the storm, then entered the deepest part of the altar. The demonic qi underground was as boundless as the sea. If it was an ordinary star receiving realm sage, they would have been directly crushed by the demonic qi. Open for me! Lin Chen forcefully punched through the demonic qi, causing the demonic qi to churn and churn. After 10,000 feet, he finally saw the source of the attribute light. Within the attribute light pillar, a dazzling golden attribute treasure chest floated. When Lin Chen's fingertip touched it, the attribute light disappeared and entered Lin Chen's body. Host opened the War God Set attribute treasure chest. Obtained. War God Set main piece armor blueprint. The blueprint for the Ares armor? Lin Chen was ecstatic. The armor was the core of the War God Set. If the armor was included, Lin Chen had obtained 5 pieces of the War God Set. Only the last piece of armor was left. According to the system, the complete Ares set can at least give the host the power of a true god. Lin Chen was excited, but he didn't have the time to carefully look at the materials used to forge the armor. The 9 demon kings outside had completely flipped over the sky, their anger overflowing to the heavens. Roar! Countless years of painstaking effort. Just one more step. Just one more step. We will be able to summon Lord Demon Lord, and we are only one step away from unlocking the secrets of the battlefield of the 9 clans. F***CKUY. How dare you destroy my clan's altar? Human brat, today you will die without a burial place. Very good. Today, either you die or I die. Human bastard, this king will make you beg for death. All the primordial giant demons were enraged. So many years of accumulation had all gone down the drain. It was like waiting for 10,000 years to enter the bridal chamber, but suddenly someone blew up the bridal chamber. What was there left to do? Whoosh! Lin Chen rushed outside and stood next to Lin Pingyan. Around him were 9 completely crazed primordial giant demons, each occupying an area. Their monstrous demonic aura was like a wave that could destroy the world, drowning out the surroundings. If an ordinary aperture expansion realm cultivator stood here, they probably wouldn't even be able to withstand this demonic aura. Facing 9 crazed primordial giant demons in a row, even a heaven-opening realm cultivator would be in danger. It was rare for Lin Ping to lose his usual playfulness. He said seriously, Lin Chen, why don't I? Lin Chen frowned and said, don't mess around. You can't release all of the disaster aura. Lin Ping smiled. It's fine, I'm already used to it. Even if you're used to pain, you can't do this. You promised me that you would be obedient. Lin Chen directly interrupted her. Looking into Lin Chen's eyes, Lin Ping lowered her head and nodded. Moreover, if I wasn't confident, how would I dare to challenge these guys? It's time to try out a new move. Lin Chun smiled wickedly, and with a thought, he released the holy dragon again. Rumble! The 9 demon kings attacked together, and the heavens and earth were overturned. Even the spatial crystal walls of the battlefield of the 9 races trembled violently, as if the world was about to be destroyed. Pung! 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 The sky exploded continuously, and the extreme south of the demon race battlefield was constantly exploding. The peak holy demon kings who wanted to watch the battle were forced to retreat again and again. This was a chaotic battle between heaven-opening realms. Those Soul Star Realm high-level holy demon kings were in mortal danger even if they tried to help. Apart from those with Sacred Heart Realm cultivation, there was almost no room for them to interfere. One. Divine light illuminated the world. An array of divine light descended from the heavens towards the demon race's altar. What is that? This is the first time this king has seen such a powerful bloodline pressure. Is it caused by that human? It doesn't seem like it. It's the bloodline pressure of the dragon race. All the holy demon kings were shocked. The 9 primordial demon kings narrowed their eyes and stared in Lin Chen's direction. They felt an extraordinary dragon's might. When the smoke dissipated, a majestic dragon's shadow coiled in the air. It was Lin Chen's holy dragon. However, his holy dragon did not appear in the form of a human this time, but its true form. Its dragon body was endless, and it was hundreds of miles long. It had the head of a qilin, the tail of a carp, the red horns of a deer, and a golden beard. Its wings drooped down like clouds, and its dragon scales were pure gold. Its golden dragon claws were as huge as meteors, covering the heavens and earth. Its dragon body was filled with the nobility of dominating all living beings. Its divine might suppressed the ages, and it was invincible. When the holy dragon opened its eyes, it was daytime. When it closed its eyes, it was as if the heavens and earth had fallen into eternal darkness. It was as if the holy dragon of the primordial era had personally descended, dominating the 9 heavens and 10 lands. The 9 primordial demon kings were shocked. They were completely stunned by this scene. The might of the holy dragon. Perhaps it was not a true holy dragon, but this divine might was undoubtedly at the level of a pure descendant of the holy dragon. It was Lin Chen's holy dragon true form. After receiving the golden-haired little girl's blood essence, Lin Chen's ancient Taishi dragon bloodline had increased to 5 billion points. He had become the leader of all bloodlines in one leap. When he revealed his true form, the ancient Taishi dragon's characteristics would be the main body. The ancient skyscraping dragon, yin-yang creation dragon, and extreme hell water dragon's characteristics would only occupy a very small portion. At this moment, a red divine light circled around the holy dragon like a rapidly spinning star ring, protecting Lin Chun and Lin Pingyan. As expected of an unparalleled ability. It didn't disappoint me. Lin Chun sized up his holy dragon with satisfaction. To be precise, it should be called a descendant of the holy dragon now. The star ring red light circling Lin Chun and Lin Ping and was the ancient Taishi dragon's bloodline ability that the holy dragon controlled, Taishi Divine Light. Divine Light was one of the abilities that only gods could control. The descendant of the holy dragon used the power of his bloodline to perfectly reproduce it. Although it was not as powerful and perfect as a true god, it could be used at the most basic level. For example, when the Taishi Divine Light protected the body's defense was almost in a state of absolute defense. As long as the dragon bloodline's power was not exhausted, ordinary heaven-opening realm cultivators would not be able to break through the defense while the Taishi Divine Light was maintained. That's right, the true absolute defense of a first refinement saint. Under the protection of the Taishi Divine Light, Lin Chun rubbed his palms and grinned. If I beat up 9 primordial demon kings, it should be very satisfying for my acupoint condensation stage accumulation, right? Chapter 1458. What kind of move is this? Don't worry about it. No matter how strong this dragon is, it will be exhausted one day. As long as we don't let it escape, we'll be like a bird in a cage. The silver-haired demon king said ruthlessly, if we let this little brat escape today, we will be nailed to the pillar of shame of the demon race and never be able to rise again. Keep him here and use the heavens net demon venerable great technique. The other 8 demon kings had solemn expressions, but they couldn't care too much. If they didn't take down Lin Chen, they wouldn't be able to explain themselves. All the demon kings bit the tip of their tongues and spat out a mouthful of blood essence into their palms. As they chanted, the wind and clouds changed in an instant. Heaven's net demon venerable great technique. Qi. Streams of demonic qi intertwined like an inescapable net, instantly enveloping the space within a radius of 1,000,000 li. It was like a huge net that firmly locked down the space here. Unless a heaven-opening realm middle-stage powerhouse personally attacked, the space enveloped by the heaven's net demon venerable great technique couldn't be broken. The 9 demon kings were determined to fight Lin Chen to the death. They had already viewed this battle as a battle to the death. At this moment, the mountain of gold Saint Origin coins in Lin Chen's Providence plant pouch burned rapidly to replenish the holy dragon's consumption. The holy dragon opened its mouth and spat out a pure gold Taishi divine light that turned into a ring of stars, instantly enveloping Lin Chen and Lin Pingyan. That's right, this was also a part of the bloodline ability. The Taishi divine light could be used on other living beings. As long as the divine light didn't dissipate, the protected target would be in a state of absolute defense. A battle of attrition? Your big brother Chen is never afraid. Isn't it just a competition to see who can last longer? Who's afraid of who? Lin Chen smiled wickedly. He stomped his foot and activated his shocking godly power. In an instant, golden light flashed, and his fist turned into a divine radiance. The expression of the beautiful woman in the jade-green dress changed slightly. She slapped out with her slender hand, and a punch and a palm exploded in the air. I'll help you. Don't let this brat succeed. 4 of us chop him up. 4 chop him up. Another 3 demon kings surged over with surging demonic qi. Lin Chen lashed out with a whip kick, causing the demonic qi within 1,000 miles to explode, knocking down the 3 demon kings with one kick. His backhand punches rained down like a violent storm. Bang, bang, bang. Lin Chen attacked fiercely all the way. He wasn't afraid of the opponent's counterattack at all. The situation of the battle was like exchanging a life for a life. However, in less than 20 breaths of time, the 4 demon kings were on the verge of vomiting blood. This human brat was too tough. No matter what kind of bloodline skills or techniques they used, they couldn't break the Taishi divine light on him. This was a genuine, absolute defense. The power of the divine light spanned across the heavens and earth, and they were unable to break through it. Although the 4 demon kings were able to gain the upper hand by working together, and even occasionally suppressed Lin Chen, they couldn't beat him. This brat was so tough that his scalp felt numb. On the other hand, Lin Chen, because of the existence of absolute defense, almost all of his attacks were to the extreme. He didn't need to be afraid of the opponent's counterattack at all. If Lin Chen was only a body-refining sage with 899 trillion dragon power, the 4 demon kings wouldn't need to be so wary of him. The problem was that this brat's techniques were too strange. As long as they were injured by him, their wounds would become bigger and bigger, and it was equivalent to a slow death. That's right, Lin Chen could take 100, 1,000, or even 10,000 blows. But as long as they took a punch or a blow from Lin Chen, they would be in trouble. The other 5 demon kings were facing the Xing Long and Lin Ping, and respectively, and a similar scene was playing out on them. The 9 demon kings were completely caught in an unprecedented tug-of-war of attrition. They were betting that Lin Chen's Taishi divine light wouldn't last until the end. Lin Chen, on the other hand, wanted to use the super chaos and slowing runes to create as many opportunities as possible while the Taishi divine light lasted for as long as possible so that he could hit all the demon kings with annihilation. Here's another surprise for all of you. Lin Qin waved one hand, and another demon lord's coffin appeared in the void. He then kicked at it. Whoosh! The demon lord's ancient coffin shot out like a shooting star, and the 4 demon kings felt their scalps tingle. Indeed, they wouldn't be hurt by the demon lord's power, but the demon lord's power was not to be underestimated. If they got too close to it, they would be severely affected. For example, their demonic chi would be suppressed by a higher-level demonic chi, and their consciousness would be restricted. Just as the 4 demon kings were about to dodge, a grayish-white talisman fell from the sky, and the slowing runes exploded. The moment their bodies slowed down, 2 demon kings were hit by the coffin. Whoosh! Lin Qin dashed over like a flash of light. 1 demon lord, 1 demon lord, 1 demon lord. The annihilation talent was successfully activated. On the other side, wow, this is so magical. Seeing that she was covered in a reddish-gold halo, Lin Ping was very playful. She activated her calamity energy and closed in on the silver-haired demon king again and again. She endured the other party's attacks head-on, and with a few pokes of her fingertips, needle-like poisonous light pierced through the silver-haired demon king. The silver-haired demon king was beaten into submission and was forced to retreat. The silver-haired demon king was the most aggrieved. Although he was the strongest, he was facing Lin Ping. The calamity energy of the calamity of pain was hard to defend against. Coupled with absolute defense, he was being beaten until his scalp tingled. If it were not for the help of the 2 demon kings, he might have already been infected by the calamity energy. Just as the demon race's battlefield was about to turn upside down, the sky darkened and the earth darkened. Heavenly Sanctuary, Crouching Dragon City, 3 Pristine's Palace. All the rank 8 powerhouses were gathered together, looking at the empty Crouching Dragon City square with anticipation. Today was the day that the battlefield of the 9 races was closed. It was also the day that all the monsters would return. The casualties this time are better than the previous years. Yes, although 9 people died, at least the main force is still alive. The only ones who died are those from the Divine Flame Palace. Strange, 4 of them died. I guess it has something to do with that daring kid. There's nothing in this world that he doesn't dare to do. The powerhouses discussed as they looked at the Crimson Sun Square. There were no civilians in the Crimson Sun Square of Crouching Dragon City. They had all been evacuated to the south of the city hundreds of thousands of miles away. Near the Crimson Sun Square, a powerful spatial barrier was set up. The reason was simple. Every time the battlefield of the 9 races closed, the humans who participated in it would always bring back some strange items. When the energy of the battlefield of the 9 races brought people away, it would also take in the items and living beings around them. Therefore, in the past, there were some monsters who would bring back some rare treasures and even some exotic beasts when they were teleported back. Therefore, it was important to evacuate the civilians. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. At this moment, a spatial vortex tens of thousands of feet wide appeared in the sky. Inside the vortex, beams of light descended. All the monsters had returned. When they stepped into the Crimson Sun Square, their expressions were very interesting. Some were in high spirits, some were filled with killing intent, and some looked as if they had been reborn. Some were overjoyed, some were in high spirits, some were worried, some sighed regretfully, and some even brought back a piece of century glacial ice essence when they were teleported back. This made the monsters who were traveling with them ecstatic. The battlefield of the 9 races was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Once they were teleported back, it meant that everything was over. The Grade 8 forces all looked for their disciples with different expressions. Yes, it seems like there are quite a few people who have gained quite a lot. Those who are still alive will definitely become the pillars of the human race. Zui Laoweng smiled in satisfaction. However, his expression suddenly changed. It seemed like someone was missing? That's right. The most unique guy, Lin Chen, was missing. Rumble. At this moment, the spatial vortex in the sky trembled violently. The weather changed, and all the monsters retreated in shock. What's going on? Zui Laoweng and the other heaven-opening powerhouses, who were hosting the Stairway Heaven competition, actually caught a trace of demonic chi? All the forces were shocked. Even the Grade 8 powerhouses had never seen such a situation. The teleportation channel of the battlefield of the 9 races was unstable. Zui Laoweng and the other two instantly flashed to the Crimson Sun Plaza. The next moment, the vortex exploded. Bang! With a loud bang, all the Sacred Heart powerhouses looked through the void at once. When the vortex exploded, the silver-robed figure appeared out of thin air. The young man's body was surrounded by divine light. The golden light illuminated the world, and he looked like a god of war who had descended to the mortal world. Before everyone could exclaim in surprise, their expressions changed drastically. Rumble! Bang! He threw a punch and it tore the sky apart. A figure with demonic chi was sent flying thousands of miles away by his punch. The chaotic battle in the sky erupted again. The 8 demons, 2 humans, and 1 dragon fought so fiercely that time and space turned upside down. Come on, let's see who can last longer. When the young man's arrogant laughter echoed in Hidden Dragon City, everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. A peak demon king? What the F***ck is going on? All the Grade 8 powerhouses were dumbfounded. Below the Crimson Sun Plaza, the monstrous prodigies who were in high spirits a moment ago almost peed their pants from the terrifying demonic aura that filled the sky. Even someone as strong as Zui Laoweng could not help but suck in a breath of cold air. Are you F***king kidding me? This Lin Chen brought back a peak demon king. And there were 9 of them. 9 of them. All of them were at the level of a heaven-opening powerhouse. What was going on? Moreover, it looked like they were F***king beaten out. Crazy. He must be crazy. What was going on? Chapter 1459. Cavern Expansion Realm Opening Heaven Realm? Are you F***king writing a novel? Divine dragon suppression? Oh my god! Could it be that Lin Chen is rearing a divine dragon's descendant? Why do you care what he's writing? Hurry up and retreat. They're attacking us. I'm not dreaming, am I? Crazy. This world has gone crazy. The entire Wulong City, whether it was the monstrous geniuses, rank 8 experts, or the various factions, were all in an uproar. There was too much information. What a joke! What kind of concept was a peak Saint Demon King? It was an absolute existence above peak Saint Demon Kings, second only to demon sovereigns. It was at the peak of the demon race's pyramid. Every peak Saint Demon King was a famous monster in the demon race since the beginning of the human race's sacred boundary. Their battle prowess was equivalent to the human race's heaven-opening realm, and their hands were stained with the blood of countless saints. Every peak Saint Demon King in history was a bloody battle for the human race. Even an ordinary 8th stage Almighty was only at the Saint Heart realm. Ordinary Grade 8 forces might have heaven-opening realm experts, but they definitely weren't at the level where they could be easily invited. They were basically the highest level of power a Grade 8 force could muster, and when they moved out, it would be a matter of life and death for that force. And Lin Chen, a cavern expansion realm expert, was actually able to exchange blows with a peak Saint Demon King? At that moment, many people even thought that this was an illusion. What's more, there were 9 of them. Not to mention the monstrous geniuses ranking, even Zui Laoweng and the others could not believe this ridiculous scene. Not just Wulong City, but more than half of the heaven-opening realm experts in the entire Sky Sanctuary opened their eyes and were dumbfounded. 1, 2, 3, 9? 9 peak Saint Demon Kings dare to step into the human race's sky sanctuary? Some heaven-opening realm experts were shocked, while others were enraged. How dare they? When did the demon race become so ridiculous, daring to attack the human race's sky sanctuary? Real name system, you want to die? This old man will grant you your wish. Big brother, call for help. Go to Wulong City and kill these Saint Demon Kings. Let's go. Bring the holy fruit, fragrant wine, and millet congee. Let's go watch the show. The various heaven-opening realms all moved out, heading straight for Wulong City. In an instant, a terrifying earthquake shook the entire region with Wulong City as the epicenter. The 100,000 Dragon City was in an uproar. I was teleported back? Lin Chen reacted in a flash. While the various factions in Wulong City were still in a state of shock, he sent a message to Lin Ping'an. Ping'an, come back. Retract all of your aura and leave the rest to me. Lin Ping'an received the voice transmission. She tapped the mark between her eyebrows and immediately suppressed the aura of disaster to the extreme. Then, she opened her cherry lips and inhaled. All of the disaster aura instantly entered her petite body. She turned into a streak of light and shot towards Lin Chen, entering Lin Chen's Providence plant pouch. All of this took less than 1,000th of a breath. In the eyes of the many stunned saints, it was as if a petite figure that could fight against a peak Saint Demon King had been taken away by Lin Chen in an instant. They didn't even notice her true identity. This was because the scene of Lin Chen beating up a peak Saint Demon King was too shocking. No one wasn't shocked. No one wasn't shocked. In addition, the traces of painful disaster's existence had long been erased, so almost no one could recognize it immediately. After putting Lin Ping'an back into his Providence plant pouch, Lin Chen's battle intent soared. He didn't back down at all, turning into a streak of golden light and continuing to beat his way through. Of the 9 peak Saint Demon Kings, 7 of them had already been hit by his extermination split creation innate skill. Now, all he needed to do was fight head-on, and fight blindly. As soon as Lin Ping'an disappeared, the pressure on the 3 peak Saint Demon Kings decreased. However, they didn't immediately attack Lin Chen. Instead, they were shocked by the change in their surroundings. It really is the human territory? Oh no, today is the day when the humans teleport back from the battlefield. We were in seclusion for too long to stabilize the altar, so we completely forgot about this. The 3 peak Saint Demon King's expressions changed slightly. The battlefield of the 9 races maintained a limited amount of planar energy. Every time they teleported, no matter where they were, they would be forcefully teleported back. If they were in a different planar space, they might be teleported back from the same planar space. That's right, even in their wildest dreams, they would never have imagined that the spatial enchantment created by the Heaven's Net Demon Venerable technique would pull them over. It was precisely because they wanted to trap Lin Chen in the designated area of the battlefield of the 9 races that the battlefield of the 9 races forcefully teleported them over. Lin Chen, what the hell is going on? A bald old man beside Zui Laowen coldly transmitted his voice. After Lin Chen knocked back a peak Saint Demon King with a kick, he frowned and said, "What do you mean what's going on? Don't you know how to see? Fight." Following that, Lin Chen impatiently waved his hand. "That's enough, stop talking nonsense. I'm in a hurry to kill them. I'll fight, you guys can do whatever you want." Everyone's mouths twitched and many 8th stage experts were confused. You guys can do whatever you want? Do whatever you want? Do whatever you want. Not only were the geniuses on the monster genius list going crazy, but they had also gone crazy on the spot. Big shot. Do you know what you're doing? Why does it seem like it's natural for an Expanse Realm cultivator to fight a peak Saint Demon King? The situation isn't right. Everyone, listen up. Don't bother about that dragon. Use all your strength to kill this brat and shatter his divine light. Snatch him and run immediately. the silver-haired demon king coldly shouted. They were in the human territory's sacred boundary, which was equivalent to entering the human territory. Every second wasted meant that they might not be able to escape. They couldn't open the spatial entrance to the battlefield of the 9 races here, so they could only return to the demon territory. If they returned to the demon territory empty-handed, they would definitely die. Their only way out was to hand Lin Chen over to the higher-ups of the demon race alive. Bang! The 3 Saint Demon Kings led by the silver-haired Demon King charged toward Lin Chen. One of the 2 peak Saint Demon Kings that the Holy Dragon was blocking also left the battlefield and charged toward Lin Chen. It seemed that they were determined to take Lin Chen's life. Whoosh! At this moment, Zui Lao Weng and the rest blocked the 3 peak Saint Demon Kings. Although they didn't know what was going on, now was not the time to cause trouble for these Saint Demon Kings. Once they lost control, countless people in Wulong City would die. Go capture him. I'll delay these 3 humans. The silver-haired Demon King shouted coldly and spat out a mouthful of blood. He grabbed the blood in his palm, and his life force dropped drastically. Boundless demonic chi surged out of his palm. The demonic chi formed a barrier and instantly enveloped the 3 elders. The 3 elders were instantly delayed. The remaining 3 Demon Kings and the other 4 injured peak Saint Demon Kings surrounded Lin Chen. All the Almighty's pupils shrank. Even a heaven-opening realm cultivator would be in danger of dying under the joint attack of 7 peak Saint Demon Kings. The other Almighties didn't dare to help at all. Protecting their own disciples was already the limit. Going to help? Did they not care about their own lives? Many of the Almighties watched this scene with their hearts in their mouths. If Lin Chen couldn't stop them, Wulong City would be destroyed and its people would die. Lin Chen's lips curled up. He was arrogant and evil. Oh? You're ganging up on me? Great, your demon venerable coffins haven't been used up yet. Arrange it. Lin Chen waved one hand, and more than 10 balls of light appeared in the sky. The demonic chi's suppression instantly covered the sky. The rank 8 Almighties who were so nervous just a moment ago were all stunned. Demon Venerable's suppression? Oh my God! Demon Venerable's coffin? However, before the crowd could recover from their shock, Lin Chen suddenly raised his leg and kicked out diagonally. Chi! Bang! 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 The Demon Venerable's coffins were all kicked away by Lin Chen, and they flew toward the 7 Demon Kings. All the Almighties felt their scalps explode, and their jaws almost dropped to the ground. Was there still law? Was there still justice? This was the first time in history that a cavern expansion realm marshal punched a peak Saint Demon King and kicked a Demon Venerable's coffin. Even if you want to shock the world, there should be a limit. Chapter 1460. More than a dozen Demon Venerable coffins shot out like shooting stars, carrying with them the might of a Demon Venerable, and sent the 7 Demon Kings flying. All the mighty figures were dumbfounded. This young man, there were only things that they couldn't think of. There was nothing he couldn't do. Kicking the Demon Venerable coffins like balls? What kind of King joke was this? Even they, who were regarded as mighty figures by the human race, would be suppressed by the Demon Venerable's demonic aura and find it hard to move. This kid could kick them like balls? Compared to Lin Chen? The mighty figures of the human race were nothing but a fart. He was the mighty figure. Impossible. Why would a peak demon king come to the human race's battlefield? Some of the prodigies who had just left the Scarlet Sun Plaza were shocked. Something's wrong, something's very wrong. Although there are demons in the human race's battlefield, there's no way there would be a demon venerable coffin. Could it be? Lin Chen went to the demon race's battlefield? All the prodigies and mighty figures looked at each other as an unprecedented chill ran from the bottom of their feet to the top of their heads. The more they thought about it, the more terrifying it was. When everyone saw the 17 demon venerable coffins in the sky, they were all terrified. It couldn't be, could it be that this kid went to the demon race's battlefield alone? What kind of concept was that? One had to know that Crouching Dragon City was filled with powerful cultivators. Even if all of them went to the demon race's battlefield, less than a third of them would be able to leave alive. He was only at the Aperture Expansion Realm. Aperture Expansion Realm. He dared to go to the demon race's battlefield alone? This wasn't something that could be described as a newborn calf that was not afraid of a tiger. This was King crazy. Lin Chun charging into the devil race's battlefield alone was not far from the mark. There had never been a case of a peak demon king entering the human race's territory. Not to mention, if the demon Venerable Coffin appeared in the human race's battlefield, it would have been discovered by the prodigies who went to the 9 races battlefield and reported to the higher-ups tomorrow. If it was a peak demon king and 1 or 2 demon venerable corpses, it would make sense. But he fought 9 and kicked 17 demon venerable coffins. Obviously, this kid must have gone to the demon race's battlefield. Is he really human? Even a madman is afraid of death. Too fierce. I don't even dare to think about it. You dare to charge into the devil race's battlefield with your aperture expansion cultivation? If he breaks through to the transformation realm and life and death realm, won't he dare to attack the sage monarch domain? I've cultivated for 100 eras, and I've never submitted to anyone but Lin Chun. In this short period of time, the amount of information that had happened was too much. Everyone was so shocked that their minds were buzzing. Uxin, who was being covered and retreated, lightly covered her lips with both hands. She was so shocked that her heart trembled. What he said was actually true. He really fought his way to the demon battlefield. Uxin suddenly thought of Yi Qingwu's words. Never try to figure him out, because no one can predict what heights he will reach. Yi Qingwu, I really envy you. On the other side, Feng Shui gazed at the young man in the void with admiration, as if she was looking at the stars in the sky. Shangguan Chen's eyes were deep, and his gaze looked further and longer. If he climbs the Divine Flame Palace in the future, what kind of scene will it be? Wu Pianju, perhaps your opponent is no longer limited to the Saint Talent list. In the sky, when the demon Venerable's coffin repelled the 7 peak demon kings, Lin Chun followed up with another attack. Well played, beautifully played, truly King delightful play. Lin Chun brat, well done. Come, we'll help you too. Sword lights that spanned thousands of miles slashed over. They were actually the big shots of Sword Domain. They laughed heroically and didn't care at all. In a flash, they appeared near Lin Chen's Saint Dragon and blocked the Bloodtail Demon King, freeing the Saint Dragon to support Lin Chen. The people of Sword Domain were the first team that dared to support Lin Chen. The 4 leading Sword Domain big shots were at the peak of the Saint Heart Realm, while the remaining 7 were at the mid-stage or late stage of the Saint Heart Realm, including the 3 elders of Sword Domain. It's been a long time since I fought with the demon race. The last battle was against the ancient Green Demon King that was at the peak of the Saint Heart Realm. The 11 people from the Sword Domain surrounded the Bloodtail Devil King. The Bloodtail Devil King laughed sinisterly. You dare to fight with this king? You're courting death. The battle between the 2 sides instantly started. The Bloodtail Demon King fought against 11 Saint Heart Realm Sword Saints, and the combat power of a peak Saint Heart Realm Demon King was fully displayed. Lin Chun transmitted his voice across the void. Seniors, thank you. Immediately after, the Saint Dragon rushed to Lin Chen's side. At this moment, he was surrounded by the golden Taishi divine light. 1 man and 1 dragon. He chased after the beautiful woman in green and attacked her wildly, throwing out the slowing rune. Her injuries were extremely serious, and demonic blood was gushing out from many wounds. When the demonic blood dripped onto the ground, it made a sizzling sound and corroded the buildings within a few hundred miles. If they continued fighting, she would definitely die. Save? The beautiful woman in green wanted to call for help, but 2 grayish-white runes exploded again. She didn't even have the chance to call for help. Lin Chen flashed behind her and punched her violently. His majestic divine power penetrated her waist, and with a bang she was sent flying into the sky. Rip! 5 huge heavenly azure dragon claws came and struck the beautiful woman in green's body. A mushroom cloud exploded in the sky, and a hurricane swept across the sky. "You forced me to do this, human brat," the beautiful woman in green shouted at the top of her lungs. Demonic blood flowed out of her mouth and burned fiercely. Her demonic body rose up like a sun. Hiss! The various rank 8 mighty figures couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air as they covered their demons and retreated. Lin Chen actually forced a peak Saint Heart Realm Demon King to the point of self-destruction. One had to know that when an existence of this level self-destructed, it basically meant that they were at the end of their rope. They were going to die together. "Have you forgotten what happened just now?" Lin Chen smiled wickedly. Instead of advancing, he retreated and activated his dragon power. In a flash, his palm struck the top of her head. The beautiful woman in green's eyes narrowed the moment her demonic blood burned to the point of self-destruction. Transcendence talent. At Lin Chen's command, a green light flashed, and the beautiful woman in green disappeared instantly. What? The various peak demon kings had just stabilized themselves, and they were shocked. They felt the green scorpion demon king's aura and mark completely self-destructing and dissipating. But the scary thing was that this self-destruction actually didn't pose any threat to this human brat at all. She directly disappeared. Lin Chen's transcendence talent had a high chance of failure against high-level experts, but it was no problem at all in close range. Apart from the remaining 20 demon venerable coffins in his transcendence dimension, there was nothing else. She could self-destruct however she wanted. Another self-destruct into an elemental ball of light. Good, very good, Lin Chen's gaze turned, and the fierce glint in his eyes made the 6 peak demon king's scalps tingle. 2 out of the 10 primordial great demons were already dead. Who was next? Lin Chen grinned like a child. Next, I'll randomly pick a lucky demon king to return to my happy old home. Chapter 1461. Far away from Hidden Dragon City. Witnessing this earth-shattering battle, the Yi and Zhao families were all dumbfounded. So much so that a wave of evil chills went straight to the top of the heads of the Yi clan elders. They felt a chill run down their spines as they secretly broke out in cold sweat. Dangerous, too damn dangerous. It seemed that their Yi family had almost been overthrown. Thinking back, when Lin Chen had come to stop the marriage between the Yi and Zhao families, what would have happened if he had gone crazy? This kid could beat up a peak stage Saint Demon King, and it was 1 against 4. He even forced a peak stage Demon King to self-destruct. What kind of concept was that? It was equivalent to having a battle strength infinitely close to the middle stage of the heaven-opening realm. That day, if he had not given the Yi family face and had really fought, no one in the Yi family would have been able to stop him. The Yi family would have been overthrown by him. A heaven-opening realm battle strength was not something that could be easily invited in a grade 8 force. It was basically the highest level of battle strength. Normally, they would not be in the family or sect. This kid is not bluffing. He really does have the strength to overturn our Yi family. Fortunately, Qingwu's relationship with him is not bad. He did not touch our Yi family on account of Qingwu, only now did the Yi family elders know that they had been jumping back and forth on the edge of death. Zhao Mingyu, who had finally recovered from his injuries, stood on top of a mountain in a daze, looking at the battle in the distance. He was dazed and his mouth was full of a self-mocking sneer. It turned out that it was really too easy for him to get rid of him. Heaven-opening realm, this was the realm that he had been chasing for his entire life. At this moment, Lin Chen was fighting with the demon race expert that he had been chasing for his entire life. He was very clear that in this life, he could only look up to this man's back. It was not that he, Zhao Mingyu, was too weak, but the former was too strong. The Zhao family head seemed to have thought of something, and as if he had just woken up from a dream, he immediately jumped up and said hurriedly, Quickly give the order to stop all attacks and assassinations of the Purple Cloud King Valley. Use the fastest speed to stop all assassins for me. Cold sweat trickled down his back, and the corners of his mouth trembled. Motherf *, if we touch the Purple Cloud King Valley's people, Lin Chen, this plague god, will definitely flip my Zhao family upside down. I'm too ashamed to meet my ancestors. The Zhao family was also in an uproar, and all of their members were mobilized. They had to put away all the little tricks they had done to the Violet Cloud King Valley. One had to know that a guy who dared to charge into the Devil Race's battlefield single-handedly would be afraid of their Zhao family? If they knew that the Zhao clan had made a move against the Purple Cloud King Valley, what kind of disaster would that cause? The result was that the next time he kicked, it wouldn't be the demon sovereign's coffin, but the coffins of their Zhao clan's ancestors. Furthermore, the Zhao family head wasn't stupid. He clearly remembered that when Lin Chen had first appeared, there was also a mysterious little girl who could contend against a heaven-opening realm master. And it was a level that could tie with the silver-haired demon king. Their Zhao family did not fear a heaven-opening powerhouse. He didn't fear two heaven-opening realms. But in the face of Lin Chen, who dared to charge into the demon race's battlefield and didn't care about his own life. Sorry, goodbye. Above the Scarlet Sun Plaza, Lin Chen was wild with joy. His ultra-spacetime plane was filled with a dazzling array of elemental light balls. It was simply dazzling. The self-destruction of a peak Saint Demon King had produced as many elemental light balls as Lin Chen had. Because this was the result of annihilation rupture, it wasn't an ordinary self-destruction. It was equivalent to Lin Chen killing another peak Saint Demon King. Killing two peak Saint Demon Kings in a row. Lin Chen's battle achievements were enough to be recorded in the annals of history. If these two peak Saint Demon Kings started a war, who knew how many saints would fall? However, the most frightening thing was that he wasn't done yet. He still wanted to fight. Too strong, this brat forced a peak Saint Demon King to self-destruct, and then there's nothing left. Could it be that he controls some heaven-defying spatial saint artifact? But that's impossible. There's no spatial saint artifact in this world that can withstand the power of a peak Saint Demon King's self-destruction. Lin Chen's ability to transcend time and space had caused all the 8th stage almighties to feel their hair stand on end. This brat was far beyond their imagination. This was equivalent to sealing off the final path of retreat for an expert. Oh no, if this continues, we'll be exhausted to death by this brat. Do we still want to continue fighting? If we continue fighting, even if we can capture this brat, we won't be able to take him away. The 6 peak Saint Demon Kings quickly conversed. Not to mention the silver-haired Demon King forcefully blocking Zui Laoweng and the other two, just Lin Chen and the dragon alone were already extremely troublesome to deal with. This brat was even more troublesome than some heaven-opening experts of the human race. If it was a heaven-opening expert of the human race, even if they couldn't beat him, they could self-destruct and either heavily injure him or kill him together. But this brat couldn't. If you self-destructed, he would use vanish. How could they fight? What made the Demon Kings tremble the most was that if they didn't self-destruct, they would die if they continued fighting. This was because their injuries couldn't be healed. If they didn't self-destruct, they would be exhausted to death. How the hell were they supposed to fight? The only possibility was that they had to hold on until his Taishi divine light passed. In the eyes of the peak Saint Demon Kings, Lin Chen was also an arrow at the end of its flight. His Taishi divine light had dimmed after the previous rounds of attacks. If they continued fighting, his Taishi divine light would definitely be broken. Once the divine light was broken, Only 2 peak Saint Demon Kings would be needed to fight evenly with him. If 3 surrounded him, they would definitely take him down. But the result was also very obvious. They would all be heavily injured. Most importantly, what would happen after they took down Lin Chen? Would they be able to fight their way out of the heavenly sacred region with their heavily injured bodies? This game was full of unknowns. The 6 peak Saint Demon Kings hesitated, but Lin Chen didn't hesitate. He looked around and immediately chose the most heavily injured Demon King Tianyu. Demon King Tianyu, what are you doing? What are you doing? Holy shit, he's staring at me. He's coming. Boom. Lin Chen stood on the Saint Dragon. 1 man and 1 dragon galloped through Crouching Dragon City to fight the 6 peak Saint Demon Kings. Rumble. Below the Crimson Sun Plaza, heaven and earth were in chaos. All the buildings were destroyed. Crouching Dragon City's protective barrier was completely activated, completely isolating the area of the battle. All the saints looked at this scene in shock. They looked up at the godlike figure. If there were gods in this world, perhaps this would be the case. A sage with sharp eyes and agile hands quickly recorded this scene. Since ancient times, no human had dared to approach the battlefield of the 9 races. But today, a monstrous prodigy appeared out of nowhere and broke all the rules of the mortal world. With his expansive cavern cultivation, he charged into the battlefield of the Demon Lord, kicked the coffin of the Demon Lord, and killed a peak Saint Demon King. He was the first, and perhaps the last. Enough. At this moment, a sigh filled with demonic chi reverberated through heaven and earth. The sky above Crouching Dragon City instantly darkened. Demonic chi filled the air, and the hearts of the saints were filled with worry. Another demon race descending. Chapter 1462. Rumble. At this moment, 4 beams of holy light shot over from the east, west, north, and south. They were the heaven-opening realm cultivators of the 100,000 Dragon City. When the 4 heaven-opening realms entered Hidden Dragon City, they didn't even have time to express their stance. Their Saint Chi pierced through the void, and when they saw the young man, Sheng Long, and the 6 peak Saint Demon Kings fighting in the sky, they couldn't help but cry out in shock. An expansive realm cultivator against a descendant of a divine dragon? What's going on? What kind of joke is this? An expansive realm cultivator fighting a peak Saint Demon King? Even the heaven-opening realm cultivators couldn't help but be dumbfounded by this scene. It was like watching a baby fight against a giant, and a group of giants at that. This scene made them doubt their lives. It was unimaginable. The 4 heaven-opening realm cultivators had just arrived in Hidden Dragon City when demonic chi suddenly descended from the sky, covering the entire city and darkening the sky. The 4 heaven-opening realm cultivators' expressions changed. Enough. Why do you have to force my demon race? His voice seemed to have magical power, penetrating the hearts of every human and causing many saints to feel an instinctive fear. A sigh broke the hearts of all saints. A figure stepped out of the void. He was tall and had a pair of white, jade-like wings on his back. A vertical eye bloomed between his eyebrows, and each strand of his hair was light and nimble. His face was extremely handsome. The sorrow between his eyebrows was like a saint who pitied the world, not a demon. However, only saints above the star-receiving realm could vaguely feel that this demon's demonic chi was like an endless prison. Once it descended, it firmly trapped the entire Hidden Dragon City. His hands were behind his back, and his eyes were like obsidian, deep and bright. The moment he appeared, all the battles stopped. It's him. Zui Lao Weng and the others were shocked. They had seen this demon when the Heaven Saint region was first established. Back then, when they were still in the Sacred Heart realm, this demon was called the Dragon-Devouring Demon. One demon divine ability could devour 10,000 dragons, and it was unparalleled in the world. When they were still in the Sacred Heart realm, the dragon-devouring demon king was already comparable to a late-stage heaven-opening realm cultivator. Now, it was probably even stronger than back then. In the heaven-opening realm, every additional saint point would cause a drastic change. Even if everyone here was in the heaven-opening realm, they might not be its match. "My lord, you're finally here!" the silver-haired demon king shouted excitedly. At this moment, he was bleeding profusely and his injuries were quite serious. It was really difficult for him to stop the 3 heaven-opening realm masters of the Heavenly Stairway competition by himself. Earlier, during the fierce battle, he had used his devil blood to send a message to the devil race so that they could send reinforcements. It just so happened that the dragon-devouring demon king had sneaked into the grand desolate world and was trying to devour the experts of the dragon race. When he received the order, the higher-ups sent an order for him to save them. "Greetings, Your Excellency Devourer Dragon. Lord Devourer Dragon, this is the kid, Lin Chen of the human race. He's the one who messed up our clan's plan. You must seek justice for us." The 8 demon kings howled in grief. 4 figures flashed across the sky and stood beside Zui Laowang and the others. There were 3 men and 1 woman. The woman was still charming, her temperament was ethereal, the man was domineering, the old man was unfathomable, and Yun-Yi was indifferent. Their saintly might shone brightly, diluting the demonic qi in the air and alleviating some of the suffering citizens of Hidden Dragon City. "The devil race is getting bolder and bolder. How dare you attack our heavenly sanctuary? Do you want to die? Are there any experts from our 100,000 Dragon City coming here? Aren't you afraid of dying here, dragon-devouring demon?" The 4 heaven-opening realm experts scolded the dragon-devouring demon king. The dragon-devouring demon king flicked his fingernails and said arrogantly, "Don't try to threaten me. Apart from the small number of humans, the cowards who can threaten me are all gathered in your sage monarch domain. I can come and go as I please in your heavenly sanctuary. How dare you? Arrogant! I'd like to see what you're capable of." The 4 were enraged. They each attacked with a sword move, a saber move, a finger seal, and a fist seal that shook the heavens. The darkness in the sky was torn apart, and the attacks were directed at the dragon-devouring demon king. The latter calmly waved his hand, and the 8 demon kings were summoned to his side. He grabbed at the void with his 5 fingers, and a dark vortex appeared and swallowed the attacks of the 4. Zui Laowang and the others were shocked. Sure enough, he was stronger than before. "Insignificant trick. If I didn't have a mission today, I would definitely kill you all." The dragon-devouring demon king was extremely arrogant, and he didn't take them seriously at all. When the dragon-devouring demon king looked at Lin Chen, he said, "Is it you? The brat who ruined my tribe's plan?" Lin Chen suddenly smiled and said, "Don't think too much. I don't know what your plan is. I'm just a handsome guy who happened to be passing by and killed 2 of you." The dragon-devouring demon king instantly became gloomy. However, when he saw the sacred dragon beside Lin Chen, his eyes lit up. "What a pure divine dragon bloodline! It's purer than any dragon I've ever eaten." The dragon-devouring demon king stared at Lin Chen and his sacred dragon like a drunkard who had discovered a 1,000-year-old wine. Rumble! An extremely powerful demonic aura enveloped Lin Chen. Lin Chen's surroundings even started to darken. The light was being devoured, and it was as if everything had fallen into despair. Lin Chen narrowed his eyes and used the Tai Heaven concealing technique to resist the demonic aura. This dragon-devouring demon king was more terrifying than any heaven-opening realm cultivator he had ever seen. It was second only to a demon lord. It might even be half a step into the demon lord realm. Interesting. This human is actually not affected by my demonic blood. The dragon-devouring demon king licked its 3-meter-long scarlet tongue and suddenly opened its bloody mouth. From 1,000 feet to 100,000 feet, 100,000 feet, 1,000,000 feet, 1,000,000 feet. In a breath's time, its huge mouth was as black as an abyss, and it actually covered half of the sky above crouching Dragon City. Zui Lao Wang and the other heaven-opening realm cultivators immediately launched an unprecedented attack, and one after another, they used their famous orange rank killing moves. However, when all their attacks fell into the boundless darkness, they were like mud in the sea, and there was no reaction. The dragon-devouring demon king intended to directly devour Lin Chen and his sacred dragon. Crack, crack, crack. Lin Chen's Taishi divine light began to crack. War god Set gather. Lin Chen instantly gathered all his strength and used absolute life and death to fight to the death. Boom! The darkness in the sky suddenly exploded, and the darkness in crouching Dragon City dissipated, and light returned. The dragon-devouring demon king's mouth split open, and blood immediately flowed out. He was actually injured? His gaze was fixed on a certain spot in the void, and there was actually fear in his eyes. Lin Chen curiously looked in the same direction. That position belonged to the white-haired old man who held the two little girls' hands. "Old ghost, you're also here?" The dragon-devouring demon king was shocked. Chapter 1463. The white-haired old man slowly stepped into the air and smiled. "Back then, I spared the lives of some of you demons. Shouldn't you spare the lives of these youngsters? Their era has just begun." "Alright. So it's you. I won't interfere in this matter." The dragon-devouring demonic king took a few steps back and was about to retreat. Rip. The heavenly feathered demonic king beside him suddenly spurted out blood, and his wounds burst open. His demonic eyes were filled with despair and pain. After spitting out large mouthfuls of blood, he died. All the Saint Demon Kings were stunned. Then, they looked at Lin Chen in shock. It was his doing. Lin Chen smiled evilly. "What's wrong? Just treat it as my gift to you demons. Do you like it? If you like it, stretch your head over and I'll give you a few more." The dragon-devouring demonic king was stunned. Then, his handsome face became sinister and twisted. He actually killed a peak Saint Demon King in front of him. He didn't care about the heavenly feathered demonic king's life, but his dignity was trampled on by the other party. Killing a peak Saint Demon King in front of him, wasn't that not putting him, the dragon-devouring demonic king, in his eyes? Very good. Human Lin Chen, I'll remember you. In the future. Alright. How many times have you demons said these words? Can't you say something new? Lin Chen whistled and joked. The dragon-devouring demonic king was so angry that his veins popped out. However, the next moment, the dragon-devouring demonic king was so angry that he almost spat out blood. Lin Chen's figure flashed, and he raised his leg to kick the demon venerables' coffins that were scattered all over the place. They were all kicked up into the air like shooting stars toward the dragon-devouring demonic king. Lin Chen clapped his hands and waved them away in disdain. Alright. Stop talking nonsense. Take these unlucky things and scram." The mouths of the various heaven-opening realms and mighty figures couldn't help but twitch. This kid really wasn't afraid of anything. Facing someone like the dragon-devouring demonic king, he could even fly arrogantly. Everyone was seriously doubtful. Was there really anyone in this world that Lin Chen was afraid of? Dancing on the holy king's grave and violently kicking the demon venerable's coffin, there was nothing in this world that he did not dare to do. Good. Very good. The human race has really given birth to a monstrous genius. When Dragon Devourer Demon King caught all the ancient coffins, he was so angry that he laughed. Lin Chen said with a smile, "You only know now? Your news is too outdated. Could it be that my reputation as a commander hasn't reached your demon race yet?" The Dragon Devourer Devil King pulled the remaining 7 peak stage Devil Kings, Heavenly Feathered Devil King's corpse, and all the coffins of the Devil Venerables into the dark waves of Devil Chi. At this moment, An even more hoarse and ancient voice resounded from within the wave of devilish chi. Lin Chen. I will remember this name. Everyone was shocked. Clearly, there was an even more powerful demon behind the dragon devourer demon king who was coveting this place. The reason why the white-haired old man acted was probably because he sensed this. However, Lin Chen was not afraid of them taking away the coffins of the demon venerables. These demon venerables' corpses had all been cut open by his flying daggers and activated destruction. When these demons were brought back, they would only receive a bunch of tattered demon venerables' corpses. Other than staring at them, they would not be able to do anything. Senior, it's such a pity. Lin Chen stepped into the air and floated beside the white-haired old man. He shook his head and said, Senior, why didn't you kill them just now? With Senior's strength, it should be very easy. The white-haired old man stroked his beard and laughed. Ha! Young people are indeed courageous, daring to fight. And this old man can indeed kill them. However, if these 7 peak stage devil kings, dragon devourer demon king, and the demon behind them counterattacked before death, no one in Wulong City other than this old man would be able to survive. There are also Lin Chen's friends and lovers among them. Little friend, are you willing to? Lin Chen was stunned. He shook his head and laughed. Indeed, I'm not willing. Thank you, Senior. I should be the one thanking you. Little friend, you killed 2 peak stage devil kings and made a great contribution to the human race. Just based on this, I'm sure those demon-ranking enforcers won't make things difficult for you. The white-haired old man looked at Lin Chen with admiration. Your meridians have expanded by 30,000 times. You have the descendant of a divine dragon. This old man is looking forward to your future. I hope you can step into the Saint King prison soon and take back your love. Lin Chen was slightly taken aback. This white-haired old man seemed to have guessed his background thoroughly. However, thinking about this old man's strength and identity, this was normal. Then I'll borrow Senior's auspicious words. Lin Chen cupped his fists, and the holy dragon soared into the sky, collecting all the attribute light balls dropped by Demon King Heavenly Feather. Host has received 1 billion top stage health, 800 million top stage health, 500 strengthening points, 30,000 rune energy. Lin Chen's stats soared like crazy. Especially his blood energy, it soared like it was unstoppable. It forced Lin Chen to absorb all the attribute points from the first peak stage Devil King. His clone had been madly refining a huge amount of top stage health attribute points. However, when Lin Chen removed the 4-piece War God set, he still felt exhausted. In this bloody battle, the 4-piece War God set had consumed more than 23% of its energy. In addition, his Saint Dragon had also been seriously injured. Its dragon vein had been exhausted. With the Saint Dragon's current cultivation, using a peerless divine ability once would cause it to be severely weakened. It could be said to be extremely tragic. Fortunately, he had also gained a lot. Although there wasn't much set essence, he had obtained the blueprint for the 5th piece of the War God set, as well as the attribute light balls from the 3 peak stage Devil Kings. Little guy, you're too shocking. Fighting on the demon race battlefield, how dare you think of such a thing? Zui Lao Weng and the others stepped through the air. The 4 heaven-opening experts also cupped their hands towards the white-haired old man. After the 4 understood what had happened, their gazes towards Lin Chen were filled with shock. Too fierce. When did such a monster appear in the human race? An expansion realm cultivator dared to go to the demon race battlefield. Thinking back to when they had defeated a life and death realm cultivator, they had still been proud of themselves. An expansion realm cultivator had killed a peak stage Devil King of the heaven opening realm. The 2 sides were simply not on the same level. Lin Chen's gaze swept across the entire hidden dragon city. The various forces and almighty experts all looked at him with completely different eyes. In the past, no matter how monstrous Lin Chen was, they had only regarded him as a junior who had yet to mature. Now, when they looked at him, They all lowered their heads in respect and fear. Having the strength to kill a heaven-opening realm cultivator meant that Lin Chen would be on the same level as them in the future, or even surpass them. Of course, this was only a kind of deterrence. Lin Chen knew that without the set essence, his battle prowess would only be able to fight against an early-stage Sacred Heart Realm cultivator. I have to find a place to absorb all these peak-grade blood chi attribute points. After my pure strength rises again, my strength will rise to another level. Lin Chen ignored the questions of Zui Lao Weng and the others and charged towards Ling Yueqi and Class 66. When he saw everyone's worried faces, ripples appeared in his heart. It was time. He had to find a time to return to the 9 provinces. He had to get rid of the last disaster of the 9 provinces. The current him was no longer the weak battle emperor of the past. Chapter 1464. Under the 9 states continent there were 9 demon eyes. Although Shang Guanju had sealed them, it was only for a short period of time. Only the 9 phantom nail in the holy prison could seal the demon eyes. Otherwise, once the demon eyes went berserk, the 9 states continent would be destroyed. Lin Chen had already obtained the 9 phantom nail from the holy prison. Returning to the 9 states continent to suppress the demon eyes and revive the Dean was not far away. When Lin Chen landed, everyone was surprised and happy. Everyone in Class 66 was more worried. "Don't worry, I'm fine." Lin Chen grinned. Elder Wanhua cupped his fists respectfully. "Benefactor Lin is really a god descended from the heavens. Your talent is peerless. In the future, you will definitely be listed on the Talent Saint list." Elder Wanhua of the Thousand Flames Palace had been protecting the people around Lin Chen so that they would not be harmed in this battle. This was because he knew that even if he went up to help, he might not be able to make a substantial difference. A chaotic battle between many peak Saint Demon Kings was not something he could easily interfere with by himself. "Sister Yueqi." Lin Chen looked at Ling Yueqi and nodded with a smile. "After I finish my recent matters, we will return to the 9 states continent together." Yu Linlin, Yan Qianyun, and the others were overjoyed. Ying Liang and Bai Juanhao looked at each other. "Are we finally going back?" A trace of nostalgia appeared between Ling Yueqi's brows. In the 9 states continent, there were many memories of her first encounter with Lin Chen. The 9 states continent? I want to go down and play too. Yi Qingwu's eyes lit up, making Lin Chen smile. "Fairy Scarlet, please help me escort everyone back to the Ice Heart Palace. When I'm done, I will go back with everyone." Lin Chen said to Fairy Scarlet as the vitality in his body became more and more abundant. Fairy Scarlet bowed. "Master's order, Scarlet understands." Not bothering to converse with the others, Lin Chen immediately entered a state of seclusion. In this battle and the 9 clans battlefield, his harvest was extremely terrifying. Half a month later, Crouching Dragon City, the seclusion plain of the Heavenly Stairway competition. Song Mountain was covered in snow. Lin Chen sat cross-legged on the snowy peak, resting with his eyes closed. It took Lin Chen half a month to completely replenish his Saint Acupoints, heal his injuries, and refine his top blood and chi. With a thought, Lin Chen opened the system. Heavenly Tao Possession System version 7.0 Host. Lin Chen, Cultivation, Perfection of the 4th Heaven True Saint Realm, Peak Essence, 88, 9 billion points. Maximum Strength, 280 trillion Dragon Power, Flesh Shell Awakening plus 300%. Maximum HP, 105 billion. Top Level Spiritual Energy, 89. 4 billion points, Paramount Saint Rudiment Stage, Top Grade Cultivation Technique Soul Essence, 3,400,000 points, Top Grade Rune Energy, 8,750,000 points, High Grade Heaven's Path Points, 50,000 points, Advanced Talent Points, 1, 2 billion. Set Essence, 0 points, Middle Strengthening Points, 78,500 odd crystals refined, 41 pieces. Top-grade elemental energy. 170,000 points for fire, 170,000 points for earth, 170,000 points for wood, 170,000 points for metal, 190,000 points for water, 150,000 points for lightning, 140,000 points for wind, 150,000 points for light, 140,000 points for darkness. Set column. Golden War God set, equipped parts. Ultimate right arm armor. Ultimate left arm armor. Ultimate left leg armor. Ultimate right leg armor. Ultimate armor, blueprint. Talent column. Bloodline status column. Cultivation technique status column. Life awakening column. Killing technique column. Special rune column. Talent combination technique. He had improved by leaps and bounds. During this period of time, Lin Chun had truly welcomed the most terrifying growth after expanding his acupoints. The attributes dropped by the 3 peak Saint Demon Kings and a large number of high-level Saint Demon Kings have increased my pure strength from 29 trillion to 280 trillion dragon power. In addition, the Holy Dragon has increased from 5 trillion dragon veins to 9 trillion dragon veins. When Lin Chun opened his eyes, there was a burst of divine light that caused the entire space to tremble. One breath to swallow the mountains and rivers, one breath to swallow the sun and moon. This time, Lin Chun mainly allowed the Holy Dragon to absorb the top-grade blood and chi attribute. The absorption speed of the main body couldn't compare to the speed of the increase, even with the help of the 6 clones. Strictly speaking, Lin Chen's current pure strength was 70 trillion dragon power, and it was purely a 300% increase from the flesh shell awakening. The higher the body refinement realm, the harder it was to increase. In the sacred boundary, there were very few body refinements that could reach the heaven opening realm. No matter how much the human bloodline was changed and cultivated, it couldn't compare to the beast race, dragon race, demon race, and other races that had a stronger life force. Right, let's see if I can strengthen the ancient Taishi dragon bloodline. Lin Chun had a sudden impulse and opened the strengthening function, choosing to strengthen the ancient Taishi dragon bloodline by 5 billion points. System notification. Strengthening failed. Insufficient strengthening points. To strengthen the ancient Taishi dragon bloodline, 500,000 middle strengthening points are required for one strengthening. Lin Chen's mouth twitched. The divine dragon bloodline was truly terrifying. 500,000 middle strengthening points was equivalent to 50 trillion strengthening points for one strengthening, and it was only me strengthening plus 1. Lin Chun had only spent 10,000 middle strengthening points to strengthen a batch of grade 7 sacred artifacts to plus 15. No wonder the divine dragon bloodline is so terrifying. It's impossible to strengthen the divine dragon bloodline in a short period of time. It's better to save it for future use. Lin Chun shook his head helplessly and clenched his fists as he calculated in his heart. I've heard the ancient Taishi Dragon Senior tell me that in terms of pure strength, apart from tiger and dragon power, the next level is the strength of a venerable. 1 trillion dragon power was equivalent to the strength of a venerable. The strength of a venerable could break stars. In terms of venerable power, Lin Chun currently had 280 venerable power, and his holy dragon had 900 venerable power. To put it bluntly, if Lin Chen's holy dragon encountered the peak Saint Demon King again, it wouldn't be as simple as just stalling for time. Other than the silver-haired Demon King, it would be able to smash any of the 10 peak Saint Demon Kings to the ground. However, it was still far from the level of the Dragon Devourer Demon King. At the very least, if the Dragon Devourer Demon King wanted to kill Lin Chun, it wouldn't be able to break through his Taishi Divine Light so easily like last time. With the strength of a heaven-opening realm cultivator, if I walk the sacred boundary, even a grade 8 faction would have to think twice before touching me, Lin Chun. And, this time, I've toughened up my back. Lin Chun narrowed his eyes. When he stood up, His aura faintly overturned the entire realm, and he couldn't help but hide his own aura. For this trip, Lin Chen had two things to do. The first was to find the fourth part of the Tai Heaven concealing technique. The second was to gather his servants. Lin Chen didn't have the time to wait for his alchemy skills to break through to grade 8. The opportunity to become a grade 8 Saint Alchemist was something that couldn't be sought after, and Lin Chen couldn't just keep waiting. Since he had the resources and a certain amount of ability now, he would do his best to help his servants. When the time came, Lin Chen believed that he had the ability to establish a super sect. A superpower that wouldn't be inferior to any grade 8 faction. Divine Flame Palace. Sister Ruoyan, wait for me. We'll meet soon. Lin Chen's lips curled up slightly. Lin Chen was confident that when he stepped into the Divine Flame Palace, he would have the strength to fight against this colossus that he could only look up to. Lin Chen rose to his feet. In a flash, he disappeared from the plane. Chapter 1465. With 280 supremacy powers, Lin Chen's combat strength had skyrocketed. Even without the Ares set, each of his doppelgangers would have the combat strength of a mid-stage, Sacred Heart Realm cultivator. Lin Chen did not check the vast amount of resources in the plant pouch for the time being. He returned to Wulong City. Inside the Cloud Cauldron Tower, the various sects in the Sword Domain, the Elixir Domain's Elder Guild, and the Realm Pagoda were stunned when they heard Lin Chen's request. You want to ask about an ancient sword sect? There are many sword sects in the Sky Sanctuary region. You're looking for a needle in a haystack. After listening to Lin Chen's explanation, the people from the Sword Domain fell into deep thought. The sword sect that was related to Jian Wuji's enemy and moved to the Sky Sanctuary region. The three Sword Emanations elders looked at each other and said in unison, "The Nine Evil Sword Hall." The Nine Evil Sword Hall was famous in the Sword Domain. Of course, the reason why it was so famous was that when it reached its peak, it used the various sects in the Sword Domain as a springboard to move to the Sky Sanctuary region. It was said that the Sword Hall's power was extremely complicated and was despised by the various sects in the Sword Domain. However, there was no doubt about its strength. It was a new dark horse among the 8th grade sects and had a strong foundation. Where is the Nine Evil Sword Hall? Lin Chen asked hurriedly. However, Lin Chen's answer was unexpected. No one knows where their headquarters are. These guys are both good and evil. Although some of their actions are commendable, many of their characters are very bad. Since the migration of the Sword Domain, although we know that they came to the Sky Sanctuary region, no one knows where their headquarters are. The three elders' answer made Lin Chen narrow his eyes. How could they not know? Damn it, could it be that a duck that was already in his mouth would fly away? Lin Chen's eyes gradually darkened. If he could not find it through normal means, he did not mind fighting at all costs. He was determined to get the 4th chapter of the Tai Sky concealing technique. Seeing Lin Chen's strange appearance, Elder Shun of the Boundary Tower couldn't help but laugh. I say, you old fellows, can't you speak to a young man in a bad way? Don't let this little guy go crazy again. He even dares to go to the battlefield of the demon race. He will do even more things in minutes. The three elders of the Sword region looked at each other and shook their heads helplessly. Little guy, if you really want to find them, there is only one way in the near future. Go to the Cultivation Technique Exchange in the Heavenly Sacred Region's Earth Dragon City. Lin Chen was stunned. Cultivation Technique Exchange? The elders nodded. Jian Qingqing smiled and explained to Lin Chen in detail. The Cultivation Method Exchange Meet is an exchange meet between a Grade 8 force and some sects that have retired. Its purpose is to exchange cultivation methods and cultivation resources. Every time there is a cultivation technique exchange, it will attract many top geniuses. The main purpose of this meeting is to exchange copies of unsuitable top cultivation methods of equal value. Although it is an auction, it is different from ordinary auctions. Every rank 8 sect has different cultivation methods that are not suitable for their expert. But normally, it is very difficult for top cultivation methods to appear in the market. There is a price but no market. Most of the sects will not sell their cultivation methods. However, in order to maximize the value of top cultivation methods, some sects will exchange their own cultivation methods for equivalent value. Jian Qingqing's explanation made Lin Chen understand immediately. Indeed, the more powerful one's cultivation was, the more one needed a matching cultivation method in order to maximize one's strength. If one forced his own elements to practice some unsuitable cultivation methods, it would be counterproductive. In this case, it was the wisest choice to exchange cultivation methods. Yes, although the 9 Evil Sword Palace is mysterious, they will not be absent from every cultivation technique exchange meet. If you want to find them, this is the only way. However, little guy, you'd better not have too much hope. These people are not easy to deal with. The 3 elders warned. Lin Chen nodded. No matter what, I have to try. Earth Dragon City, right? I'm in a hurry, let's go now. When Lin Chen stood up, Jian Qingqing subconsciously blurted out, I'll go with you. You're not familiar with the rules. After saying that, Jian Qingqing's cheeks were dyed with a faint layer of red, as bright as her red hair. I seem to have heard something fun. At this time, the little demon empress pushed open the door, patted her chest, and said proudly, Lin Chen, I'll take you flying. I know how to get there. Lin Chen shook his head and laughed. All right, let's go. The 3 elders handed Jian Qingqing over to Lin Chen at the right time. When leaving Hidden Dragon City, Lin Chen wanted to leave in a low-key manner. Now, he had become one of the people at the top of the sacred boundary. Although his ranking on the monstrous genius ranking was still below 2,000, the attention he received was no less than some of the top-ranked monstrous geniuses. 4 days later, Lin Chen set off at full speed. The heavenly sacred region was very wide, and even with his cultivation, he had to spend a lot of time. Heavenly sacred region, Earth Dragon City. This dragon city was the most low-key among the 100,000 dragon cities in the heavenly sacred region. On the surface, there weren't many forces, but because of this, it was convenient for the 8th rank forces to carry out some secret transactions. The cultivation technique exchange was a secret meeting that only forces with a certain level of foundation would know about. Even if they knew, there weren't many people who could participate. Coincidentally, the little demon empress, Jian Qingqing, and Lin Chen all had their own identities to enter. Earth Dragon City. The cultivation technique exchange was held in the underground city. In the underground city, Lin Chen, Lin Ping'an, the little demon empress, and Jian Qingqing arrived. In front of the VIP passage, the life and death realm old man guarding the door stared at the token in his hand. When he looked at Lin Chen in front of him again, he couldn't help but say in astonishment, 2001 on the monstrous genius list? You, Expanse Realm? What kind of joke is this? Although this old man has been in seclusion for a while, my experience isn't that easy to fool. Lin Chen said with a mocking smile, What, haven't you seen such a handsome guy on the monstrous genius list? The yellow-robed old man casually threw the monstrous genius list token back to Lin Chen and shook his head with a smile. Young people these days really have all kinds of methods to sneak into the cultivation technique exchange. This monstrous genius list token is forged as if it's real. Who are you looking down on? Back then, this old man was known as the yin-yang eyes that could see through 10,000 miles. I can see through all kinds of trash with a single glance. With your life force fluctuations, you've only been on the monstrous genius list for 1,000 years or so. Who are you trying to fool? Get lost, get lost. Seeing that you brought 3 beauties with you today, this old man will leave you some face. Don't get in the way of this old man's business. The yellow-robed old man waved his hand impatiently. Jian Qingqing's almond-shaped eyes widened slightly, and the little demon empress was holding back her laughter. Damn it, doing things too arrogantly is also a kind of trouble sometimes. Looks like I have to show some of my true abilities. Lin Chen laughed out loud. Was this the result of doing things too arrogantly? Sometimes it would be very difficult for others to believe you if you were to be so unique in everything you did. Lin Chen. Your Excellency Lin Chen? At this time, a charming and soft voice was heard. There was shock in the tone. The beauty walked over with graceful step. It was a beautiful woman in a light yellow palace dress. Her waist was slender like a beautiful snake, and her aura was strong. She was at the peak of the star-receiving realm. The yellow-robed old man said with a smile, "Manager Ing, this kid wanted to pretend to be in the top 2001 of the monstrous genius list, but this old man exposed him and, slap, bang." The beautiful woman in palace dress sent the yellow-robed old man flying with a slap. "You idiot! This is His Excellency Lin Chen, who has expanded his acupoints by 30,000 times. Who are you to question his identity? Get lost for this old lady as far as you can." She was like a fierce tigress, scaring the black-robed old man so much that his face changed. Expanded his acupoints by 30,000 times? Seeing the surrounding gazes gather, Lin Chen and Lin Ping put on their sunglasses at the right time and revealed their signature smile. Chapter 1466. The beautiful woman in palace attire said carefully, Lin Chen, is what I did to your liking?" Without waiting for Lin Chen's reply, Lin Ping said in an old-fashioned manner, "Mn, it's SOSO. Also, prepare 100 sugar figurines for me. I want the best brand in the heavenly sanctuary." The beautiful woman in palace attire bowed slightly. "Yes, this guest. I will definitely satisfy your request." Jian Qingqing and the little demon empress were amused by this girl. Lin Chen pulled her back and said to the beautiful woman in palace attire, "Mn, your attitude is all right. Let's go, take us in." The beautiful woman in palace attire received the order and immediately ordered someone to buy sugar figurines for Lin Ping'an. She quickly led the way. Entering the passage, an unprecedentedly huge venue came into view. The beautiful woman in palace attire had a graceful and slender figure, which attracted a lot of attention. Lin Chen narrowed his eyes. In the venue, there were already many treasures and secret treasures being auctioned. There were even many reputable treasure appraisers. The beautiful woman in palace attire smiled sweetly. "This is just the warm-up. I believe that Sir Lin Chen came here for the cultivation technique exchange." Lin Chen said with a teasing smile, "Foreplay? Why is this foreplay a bit long?" The beautiful woman in palace attire was stunned, then chuckled lightly. She shook out waves of snow and blushed. However, this was the pretense of a mature woman. Lin Chen was calm and his expression did not change. Experience can make you calm down day by day, and so can second brother. Along the way, the beautiful woman in palace attire tried to fish for information from Lin Chen. Lin Chen seemed to be full of flirtatious words, but in reality she could not get anything out of him. This young man is as mysterious as the legends say. Even my charm technique is useless. The beautiful woman in palace attire, Manager Ing, was secretly amazed. She had used this trick to take down many male monstrous geniuses. After a night of romance, she had successfully grasped the other party's weakness and extorted many benefits. After Manager Ing brought Lin Chen and the others to a luxurious guest room, there was a transparent window that was connected to the venue outside, allowing one to take in everything at a glance. Manager Ing bowed slightly, deliberately showing off the beautiful white scenery. She smiled slightly and said, "This is your distinguished guest's room. If there's anything you need, remember to call me again. I can do anything." Lin Chen was surprised. "You can do anything?" Manager Ing chuckled. "Yes, in every sense of the word." Lin Chen gave a thumbs up and praised, you're really capable. Then help me sell these two. Lin Chen tossed a storage ring to her and said with a smile, I'll give you 5% of the profit. Go sell these things and make the necessary arrangements. When Manager Ing took the storage ring and opened it, Shuiyu was instantly stunned. A large number of demonic crystals were piled up into a small mountain, and their demonic aura was monstrous. If it weren't for the special seal, this high-grade storage ring would have been shattered into nothingness. Saint Magic Crystal? And they're all high-grade. High-grade Saint Magic Crystal was the only energy core of a Saint Demon King. This item was extremely rare, and could be used to forge weapons and lay down formations. It was extremely useful. High-grade Saint Magic Crystals were extremely valuable because obtaining one meant killing a high-grade Saint Demon King, which was equivalent to killing a saint above the life and death realm. Manager Ing carefully counted. There were actually 1380 high-grade Saint Magic Crystals in the storage ring. Manager Ying's palms were trembling. She had never seen so many Saint Magic Crystals before. It's rumored that this kid has gone to the demon battlefield and has the battle strength to kill a peak-grade Saint Demon King. It's true. He's too strong. This is the young man known as the Legend of the Demon Genius list. If I can curry favor with him, my status in Earth Dragon City will skyrocket. Manager Ing felt that she had an opportunity and said respectfully, I'll definitely not disappoint you. These demonic crystals were naturally obtained by Lin Chen from the demon battlefield. His only regret was that he didn't obtain a Demon Venerable's demonic crystal. Every Demon Venerable's demonic crystal had been dug out from the coffins, leaving behind an empty corpse. If he could obtain a Demon Venerable's demonic crystal, Lin Chen's wealth would definitely skyrocket. Unfortunately, the demon race had held back. However, the high-grade Saint Magic Crystals should be enough for me to use for a while. Although Lin Chen was selling high-grade Saint Magic Crystals, he didn't sell a single high-grade Saint Magic Crystal. This was because his Grade 7 Saint artifact, Demon Slaughtering Spear, could absorb the energy of Saint Magic Crystals to grow. Jin Wuxia and Old Man Xianyuan had said that each of Lin Chen's Grade 7 Saint artifacts had an unprecedented spirituality. Due to the special materials used to forge them, each of them had their own way of growing. The Demon Slaughtering Spear's way of growing was to absorb Saint Magic Crystals. However, it could only be used on high-grade Saint Magic Crystals. If Lin Chen had enough Saint Magic Crystals, it could even break through the Grade 7 Saint artifact and become Grade 8 Saint artifact. At this moment, Lin Chen and the three girls turned to look at the bidding stage. The auctioneer held a jade box with icy light flowing around it, causing the cold air in the venue to suddenly descend. Faint snowflakes floated in the air, causing many fiery eyes to stare at the crystal in the jade box. This is an ice-type odd crystal condensed from 13 layers of Snow Mountain chalcedony. It's a mid-grade odd crystal, 4 million gold Saint Origin coins. A mid-grade odd crystal would definitely be a rare item in the outside world, but it wasn't considered too rare here. A low-grade odd crystal was usually worth 1 billion silver Saint Origin coins, which was equivalent to 100,000 gold Saint Origin coins. A mid-grade odd crystal was worth 4 million Saint Origin coins. The price was tens or even hundreds of times higher. 6 million. A languid and pleasant female voice came from a VIP box. This young lady is really rich. Hee, this old one will bid 7 million. A hidden expert let out a strange laugh. However, at this moment, Lin Chen's bid came from Lin Chen's box. 13 million. In the venue, many experts were surprised and looked at Lin Chen's box as if they wanted to see through the true face of the owner. This mid-grade odd crystal was worth at most 9 million. Did this person have too much money to spend? However, in the next moment, Lin Chen's voice came from the box. So annoying. I have so much money that I can't fit in my dozens of luck plant pouches. I really want to spend some of it. Hurry up and bid. Can you help me raise the price? Autumn pear cream. The saint's mouse twitched. Damn, where did this weirdo come from? If you think you have too much money, why don't you spend it? Why are you raising the price here? What a strange person. A puzzled voice came from the box that started the bidding. No one dared to raise the price, and this ice-type odd crystal was won by Lin Chen. The people present were all old foxes and wouldn't raise the price impulsively. Once the other party stopped bidding, they would take over. The auctioneer's beautiful lady beamed with joy. She had earned more money from this deal. Then, she took out a treasure box that was filled with 5 odd crystals that looked like a roulette. The entire venue gasped. 5 elements odd crystals: metal, wood, water, fire, and earth. There was a very small probability of 5 odd crystals being born in one body. The energy was extremely pure, and they were all mid-grade odd crystals. I won't say much about the value of this rare 5-element odd crystal. The starting price is 35 million. Everyone, before the auctioneer finished speaking, Lin Chen's voice came again. I bid 100 million. At this moment, the entire venue was silent. Even the sound of a pin dropping could be heard. Chapter 1467. This. What kind of joke is this? Although the 5-element odd crystals are valuable, they can't be worth 100 million, right? This kid isn't rich, he's probably retarded, right? All the sages sneered. 100 million wasn't Silver Saint origin coins, it was Gold Saint origin coins. If converted to Silver Saint origin coins, it would be 1 trillion. Even if he was rich, he shouldn't spend it like this, right? Lin Chen really had a lot of money. Not to mention his gains in the 9 races battlefield, just the amount of Gold Saint origin coins he robbed from the Dragon Clan was in the hundreds of millions. The middle-grade Destiny Spirit plants in Lin Chen's possession had already exceeded 70 stocks. Secondly, while he was in the 9 races battlefield, Bai Qianqian, who was in Wulong City, helped him cultivate new high-grade spirit plants, and Gold Saint origin coins were produced like raindrops. Lin Chen indeed had a terrifying amount of Gold Saint origin coins. He didn't even have the time to count how much money he had. Secondly, Lin Chen was in desperate need of odd crystals. He needed to refine them himself, and he needed to use a large number of odd crystals in other places. So, the more the better. With 100 million Gold Saint origin coins, Lin Chen directly destroyed everyone's thoughts of bidding. I want to play too. The little demon empress' eyes lit up as if she had regained her vitality. Her delicate face was full of excitement. I want to bid too. Lin Chen, what do you want to buy? I'll bid for you and you'll pay for it. Lin Chen's mouth twitched. You bid and I'll pay for it? Won't I still pay for it? Jian Qingqing's eyes flickered and she said, Me too. Lin Ping looked like it was fun as she ate the candy and grinned. Me too. Dong. Lin Chen knocked her little head. Whatever you want, just join in the fun and eat your food. Lin Chen held his forehead and said, I heard that there are 3 auction venues in this venue. If you want to buy, help me buy all the odd crystals and sacred artifacts. Whether it's low-grade, middle-grade, or sacred artifacts, I need them all. The more the better. No problem. Leave it to me. The 2 girls high-fived each other. When they smiled, they were absolutely stunning. Their smiles were so beautiful that even Lin Chen was stunned. The 2 women split up and headed to the other 2 auction venues. Jian Qingqing and the Little Demon Empress took every odd crystal that appeared in the 3 auction halls. Furthermore, even though Jian Qingqing and the Little Demon Empress weren't buying it for themselves, they were very happy to bid. Lin Chen couldn't help but sigh. A woman's desire to shop was innate. After 1 round, 2 days and 2 nights had passed. In the 3 venues, all the sacred artifacts and odd crystals were packed into Lin Chen's pocket. Within the auction hall, the auction was about to come to an end. However, everyone knew that this was only the prelude and warm-up. The true highlight of the auction was the cultivation technique exchange. I think everyone can't wait to enter the exchange, right? But before the exchange begins, let's have a small interlude. At this moment, Manager Ing personally went up to the stage to host the auction. Her lips were cherry red and her waist was so slender that it seemed boneless. She wore a close-fitting and thin dress that revealed some of her snow-white skin, outlining her perfect curve. The atmosphere of the auction hall was pushed to a climax. She waved her slender hand and a light yellow brocade pouch appeared in her palm. This is a Four Seasons plant pouch. It's a high-grade Providence plant pouch with an area of more than 1,000,000 mu. It has 4 seasons and 8 climate. It's extremely good for absorbing energy and Providence. It can hold more than 100 Providence spirit plants. It's more than enough. The price is 15 billion gold Saint Origin coins. Those who could buy this item were truly people with a strong foundation. Generally speaking, the major forces had their own plane spaces to cultivate Providence spirit plant. Generally speaking, a middle-grade Providence plant pouch was enough. A high-grade Providence plant pouch could only be used by true big shots. However, before anyone could speak, Lin Chen's voice was heard again. Yes, I like this wallet. I was just worried that my wallet was too small and that there was not enough space to hold money. I'll pay 30 billion gold Saint Origin coins. All the sages were stunned, complaining that his wallet was too small and that there was not enough space to hold money. Using a high-grade Providence plant pouch as a wallet? Listen to this, is this even human language? If Lin Chen was just trying to please the crowd before, then he was really spending 10 billion gold Saint Origin coins now. Damn, I really want to beat him up. F***CK. Does this kid think that gold Saint Origin coins are money? That's 30 billion gold Saint Origin coins. Even an 8th rank sect can't take that out just like that. Lin Chen felt helpless when he heard the undisguised curses around him. Sigh, I'm already under the pressure of being handsome at my age. I finally became an honest kid and spoke the truth, but I'm already being bullied to this extent. It's so hard to be a person. It's even harder to be a handsome and rich man who's good at something. In the end, no one dared to compete with Lin Chen for this item, and he won another wallet. Yes, Lin Chen really bought this high-grade Providence plant pouch just to use it as a wallet. Previously, he had used a medium-grade Providence plant pouch, but the range was indeed too small for him now. He finally behaved himself for a while, but it caused many people to roll their eyes at him. It's so hard to be an honest kid. Then, the beautiful woman in the palace gown chuckled. With a wave of her hand, a huge green jade compass appeared in front of everyone's eyes. The dazzling light illuminated the entire venue. Countless sages were stunned. Their eyes trembled as they stared at the jade-like gemstones on the green jade compass in disbelief. High-grade Saint demonic crystals. Based on the experience of the powerful people present, some of them were from the 100,000 Dragon City, and some of them were from the 36 regions. They were all prominent figures who dominated their own regions. It was not that they had not seen high-grade Saint demonic crystals with their own eyes. However, they had never seen so many high-grade Saint demonic crystals. Upon closer inspection, there were more than 1,000 of them. Didn't this mean that 1,000 high-grade Saint Demon Kings had died? This was a number that could only happen in a rare super war in history. Then, there was a heated discussion in the 2 other venues. It was obvious that the same scene was playing out in both venues. These high-grade Saint demonic crystals are sold for 5 billion Saint Origin coins each. If any of the VIPs want one, please press the crystal on your seat. If the number of people buying exceeds the number of Saint demonic crystals, the first bidder will be eliminated through bidding. Manager Ing chuckled softly and continued. Also, the auction house guarantees that the source of these high-grade Saint demonic crystals is righteous. Also, they were personally brought here by the VIPs in room 7. Once this was said, many sages jumped to their feet in shock. Room 7? That rich and foolish young master? And all these Saint demonic crystals were brought here by him? Didn't this mean that he had the ability to kill 1,000 high-grade Saint Demon Kings? Or that he had the ability to destroy 1,000 high-grade Saint Demon Kings? Please allow me to introduce him. The owner of Room 7 is the one who has been in the limelight recently. He expanded his acupoints by 30,000 times in the history of the monster role. After entering the 9 races battlefield, he charged into the demon race battlefield alone and even killed 2 peak Saint Demon Kings. Countless sages' jaws dropped. That was way too much information, wasn't it? Chapter 1468. That was way too much information to take in. 30,000 times expansion? 10 times greater than the highest expansion in the history of the monster genius list? Charging into the demon race's battlefield alone? He even killed 2 peak holy demon kings? That was equivalent to the heaven-opening realm of the human race. Every Motherf * Kerr's words sounded like they were fake. He's the one on the monster genius list. His Excellency Lin Chen, titled Celestial God, descended. As soon as he said that, everyone turned to look at VIP Room 7. They saw a petite little girl in a peach-colored dress standing by the transparent window in Room 7. She wore sunglasses and had her hands on her hips, pretending to be arrogant. Lin Chen is under my protection. Do you understand? Lin Chen facepalmed. Should he call her domineering or cute? A little of both, right? The one in Room 7 is Lin Chen, who expanded his acupoints by 30,000 times? Interesting, he's here too. I've heard of his legend as soon as I entered the 100,000 Dragon City. I didn't expect him to really come here. I've long wanted to meet him. Damn, my hands are itching. He must have used some external power to kill the peak Saint Demon Kings. I don't believe he has such battle strength at his age. I really want to fight him. Many curious voices sounded, and some even released battle intent. All the way to Lin Chen's room. Many of the battle intent are directed at me? Lin Chen narrowed his eyes. His mental realm was not to be underestimated, and he instantly felt the battle intent in the 3 venues. I want 2 of these high-grade Saint Demon crystals. I want 1 too. Many reclusive old monsters and various factions bid one after another. Although Saint Demon crystals could not be compared to Saint Beast cores of the same level, they were still valuable. Lin Chen's wave was a huge profit. The demon race was not like the dragon race or the beast race. If a Saint Beast or Saint Dragon was comparable to a life and death realm expert, every part of their body would be extremely valuable. However, the only valuable part of the demon race to the human race was the Saint Demon crystal. However, high-grade Saint Demon crystals were still something that could only be found by chance. High-level holy demon kings usually only appeared in powerful demon tribes and planar spaces. Generally speaking, fighting a high-tier holy demon king would attract the attention of other holy demon kings. Killing a high-tier holy demon king was no different from starting a large-scale planar war. In the end, all of Lin Chen's Saint Magic crystals were sold, and 64 people participated in the bidding for an even higher price. Lin Chen's wealth had accumulated to an extremely terrifying level. Just from the sale of these Saint Magic crystals alone, he had earned more than 690 billion gold Saint Origin coins. However, other purchase costs would have to be deducted afterward. When Manager Ing saw that all the items had been sold, her waist went soft. She looked at Lin Chen's private room with deep feelings. Her eyes were like silk, her breath was like an orchid, and her jade-like legs were tightly pressed together. It was as if as long as Lin Chen gave the order, he could pluck her at any time. After all, excluding the 3% commission collected by the auction, Lin Chen had said that she would receive a 5% commission. 5% of the 7 trillion gold Saint Origin coins was more than 300 billion gold Saint Origin coins. Even if she was at the peak of the star state, it would take her countless years to earn such a huge sum of money. Very good, I've earned back all the odd crystals and sacred artifacts that I've bought in the past 2 days. I've also made a huge profit, and I can also purchase a batch of herbs. I hope I can help everyone recover a little more. Lin Chen was secretly looking forward to it. He didn't know how much he could help his servants recover this time. Finally, the warm-up auction came to a perfect end. Then, ripples appeared in the space, and the 3 venues merged into one to form a huge arena. 3 elders appeared out of thin air, and they were all experts at the peak of the Sacred Heart state. The 3 of them worked together to activate their saint power, and a square spatial barrier was formed, locking the surroundings like a cage. Today, I hope everyone will bear with us. As usual, let's start today's highlight. After completing the spatial barrier, the 3 elders cupped their fists and left. Then, Manager Ing spread out the information in her palm and read aloud. I'm from the Shangguan clan of the 1,000 Domains. I'm represented by young Master Shangguan Ming, who is ranked 1970 on the Demon Genius list. I've brought a scroll of intermediate orange level fire attribute sword technique, 1000 slaughter of the fire demon. A mid-orange grade sword technique. Even Lin Chen couldn't help but sigh at the top level of this technique exchange. It was really difficult to buy a mid-orange grade technique in the outside world. This time, the Shangguan family is exchanging a mid-orange grade metal attribute battle skill. It can be used for both sword and palm technique, or multiple grade 6 or grade 7 sacred elixirs of the same price. If there are any VIPs who want it, please press the crystal under your seat. Manager Ying's beautiful eyes swept the entire place, and her gaze landed directly on the VIP box. Only grade 8 forces were qualified to bid for this kind of equivalent exchange. I'm offering a mid-orange grade palm technique. A graceful and pleasant voice came from box 15, and a stream of golden light shot toward Manager Ing. The breathing in the hall became a lot more rapid. Manager Ing took it and spread out the space jade slip in her palm. She activated her mind power and read it briefly. Then, she smiled charmingly. Are there any other VIPs who are interested? Then, there were other bids from the other boxes. In the box, Lin Ping and waved her little fist and said excitedly, When are we going to bid? Forget it, I'm going to shout now. Lin Chen quickly stopped her. If you continue to make a fuss, I won't bring you out to play. Under normal circumstances, the techniques displayed at the technique exchange would not be sold for sacred origin coins. Therefore, Lin Chen did not have many suitable items to bid. The only option was to exchange with elixirs. However, grade 7 sacred elixirs were not cheap. Moreover, Lin Chen was in desperate need of elixirs. It was not realistic to buy them with elixirs. He watched quietly as if he was waiting for something. Then, a graceful girl walked into the box and bowed respectfully. She presented a jade slip with both hands. Dear VIP, this is what Manager Ing told me to give to you. Lin Chen grasped the air and spread out the space jade slip. The girl retreated. Then, Lin Chen was so excited that he almost jumped up. Good heavens! I was right to give the bonus to this woman. The 9 Evil Sword Palace is really participating in this technique exchange. Moreover, Manager Ing had helped him find out that the 9 Evil Sword Palace had put up a mysterious technique fragment for auction this time. Even the organizers of the exchange were unable to determine the exact grade of the incomplete cultivation technique. This technique fragment might be the 4th chapter of the Tai Sky concealing technique that Lin Chen wanted. Under normal circumstances, only the top figures of the exchange would know about the items that were put up for auction at the technique exchange. In order to get this information, Manager Ing must have paid a high price. The only pity is that I don't know what the 9 Evil Sword Palace wants to exchange for. I will only know when their technique fragment is put on the stage. Lin Chen's eyes flashed with a trace of sharpness. If it was really the Tai Sky concealing technique fragment, it would be best if he could get it through proper channels. Otherwise, even if he had to snatch it, Lin Chen would get it. Chapter 1469. Ms. Chen Shuiying from the Ice Domain, ranked 1895th on the monster ranking, wants to exchange for the 1000 illusionary star stepping step. It uses the power of the stars to transform into a movement technique. It's a beginner orange-grade movement technique. If you absorb enough star energy, you can unleash the speed of an intermediate orange-grade movement technique. Manager Ing shook the scroll that was flickering with starlight in her hand and said, Ms. Chen Shuiying wants to exchange for an elixir of equivalent value or an ice-type defensive cultivation technique. As for the grade and uniqueness, you can decide for yourself. As soon as Manager Ing finished speaking, bids came from the treasure chests again. They called out the names of various shocking cultivation techniques. Out of the corner of his eye, Lin Chen noticed Jian Qingqing's gaze. Her beautiful eyes glimmered as she occasionally lowered her head to look at the storage ring on her slender fingers, as if she really wanted that cultivation technique. Do you want it? Lin Chen smiled at Jian Qingqing. She shook her head. Yes, but I didn't bring anything of equivalent value to exchange. I also don't want to trouble you. I know you have important things to do. Lin Chen suddenly held the beautiful woman's hand, causing her to blush. Lin Chen smiled meaningfully. If you want it, buy it. The money won't be spent. It will become what you want and stay by your side. Moreover, I haven't repaid you for saving me last time. Lin Chen snapped his fingers and pressed the crystal. Room 7, a handsome guy offers a drop of the Black Horse Club's Tiani holy water. It's guaranteed to cure all cultivation technique bottleneck. As soon as he said that, the competing forces immediately quieted down. The entire venue was silent. Tiani holy water? And it was only one drop? What kind of joke was this? One drop of Tiani holy water in exchange for a supreme-grade movement technique? The three elders who had set up the spatial enchantment appeared in the void and frowned. Was this person here to cause trouble? If so, it might be a little tricky. A young man who could kill a peak holy demon king. If he really wanted to cause trouble, the organizers of the cultivation technique exchange would have to step in to stop him. Mr. Lin Chen, this price doesn't seem to be enough. Even Manager Ing, who had always been flirtatious, revealed an awkward expression. No matter how effective the Tiani holy water was, it could not compare to a scroll of orange-grade body movement technique. At this moment, Lin Chen's cynical laughter rang out again. Heh, Steward Ing, I'm not joking with you. Help me ask the owner of this cultivation method. I can help her cultivate any cultivation method to perfection within a few days until she reaches the Great Circle realm. I, Lin Chen, can also help her break through the bottleneck of any cultivation method she is currently facing. Is this price enough to move her? The moment Lin Chen's words came out, it immediately drew mockery from the crowd. Nonsense. Who knows how much effort and time it would take to cultivate an orange-tier cultivation method to perfection? There is no lack of treasures in the world that can temporarily increase one's comprehension and comprehension ability, but at most, it can only help cultivate a cultivation method to the Great Circle realm. To cultivate it to perfection, unless one has an extremely rare special constitution, the probability of that happening is almost non-existent. At this moment, the people who were eager to refute were the powerhouses who had participated in the auction earlier. They came from various grade 8 forces, but none of them were in a hurry to refute. Instead, they focused their attention on Lin Chen's room. If someone else had said this, they would not have taken a second look. But if it was Lin Chen, the nature was completely different. This person's actions were completely beyond common sense. Mr. Lin Chen, Ms. Chen Shuiying is willing to give it a try. At this moment, Manager Ing brought the seller's reply, and the entire hall was in an uproar. Boom! The valiant and awe-inspiring drifting snow sword flashed. The beauty was dressed in a snow-white robe and carried a sword on her back. She had short hair and smooth skin. Her brows were awe-inspiring, giving her the valiant beauty of a heroic female general. Many sages' expressions changed slightly. Frozen Sky, Chen Shuiying, ranked 1895 on the monster roll. A true super genius. She was at the star-channeling realm, had expanded her acupoints by more than 1,000 times, and condensed her acupoints by 200 times. My friend Lin Chen, I don't like to procrastinate when doing things. Coincidentally, I've been comprehending a cultivation technique recently, and I've just started to master it. Why don't you let me see what you're capable of? Chen Shuiying's red lips curled into a valiant smile. Even women were tempted by her. She happened to have heard of the legend of Lin Chen. Most super geniuses were arrogant and unruly people. She wanted to see what Lin Chen was capable of. Moreover, she was about to comprehend a mid-orange grade cultivation technique, deadly cold ice. This cultivation technique was extremely powerful. If she could successfully cultivate it, her ranking might even improve. But at the same time, the difficulty of cultivating it was extremely high. Even for super geniuses, it was not easy to comprehend a mid-orange grade cultivation technique. Straightforward, I like it. Lin Chen stepped into the air and arrived at the venue. Everyone's eyes were focused on the two of them. Even the cultivation technique exchange was paused. To a saint, time passed in the blink of an eye. This short period of time was nothing. Lin Chen flipped his palm, and a drop of pure Tiani holy water floated in the air. He said with a smirk, "Open your mouth and suck it." This person actually dared to say such a thing in broad daylight, in such a clear and bright world. No matter what, he should have chosen an environment where the two of them were alone with the lights off. Chen Shuiying's gaze was as sharp as a sword. After confirming that the Tiani holy water was not poisonous, her red lips parted slightly. She actually sucked the Tiani holy water that Lin Chen took out. Lin Chen said with a teasing smile, "Hold it in your mouth and don't swallow it. Then, practice the cultivation technique that you want to cultivate in your spiritual sea repeatedly. Then, in your heart, you'll say Lin Chen is the most handsome 100 times. Everyone's mouths twitched. *T. What kind of cultivation technique was this? They increasingly felt that their intelligence was being rubbed against the ground by this kid. Chen Shuiying was skeptical. She closed her beautiful eyes and actually did as she was told. Host has activated the cultivation technique learning function. The target is learning a cultivation technique at the intermediate orange level. The top-grade cultivation technique essence, required to complete the cultivation, is 8,960 points. When the system was activated, boom! Chen Shuiying's body glowed with a holy light, which surrounded her like a halo. This is? When she opened her beautiful eyes, they were filled with disbelief. All the important points of the cultivation technique, the circulation route, the flaws, the meridian routes, and the essence of it all flowed smoothly into Chen Shuiying's mind. It was as if she only needed to refine this memory to be able to learn the breathtaking ice chill innately. Chen Shuiying immediately retreated to the side, and her family's saint elders stood guard for her. She formed a cultivation hand seal, and a puff of blue smoke rose from the top of her head. The cold air seeped out of the blue smoke, causing the temperature of the entire place to plummet. All the saints were dumbfounded. They were all in disbelief. Chen Shuiying's mind and spirit were one, and she was immersed in her own cultivation world. It was as if she had entered a state of selflessness. It was obvious that she had entered the best state for cultivation. This state could be said to be one that could only be found by chance. After a moment of silence, someone shouted in the silent hall, "Lin Chen is the most handsome." Chapter 1470. There's a traitor among us. Beat him up. Lin Chen is the most handsome. F***ck, there's more than one with crooked buttocks. Beat him up. All the saints were dumbfounded. They had seen Chen Shui's state and knew very well that this was the best state one could hope for when cultivating a cultivation technique. However, they did not know that this so-called best state was only used by her to fuse her cultivation memories. She did not need to actively cultivate at all. Lin Chen rubbed his chin with his palm as he commented in a serious manner. Looks like this Miss Chen is very smart. She has a good grasp of it. She comprehended it very quickly. It looks like she will be able to perfectly comprehend the remaining steps and bottlenecks of the cultivation method in less than 3 days. That's right, the so-called special Tiani holy water was just a feint used by Lin Chen. His real goal was to directly use the Wu cultivation technique learning function to avoid being targeted by experts with ulterior motives. The sacred boundary was so vast, and there were many hidden old monsters whose backgrounds were unknown. Although Lin Chen had the trump card to fight with a heaven-opening realm expert, it did not mean that he would reveal everything. Now let's wait for the results in 3 days. Lin Chen was not in a hurry and smiled casually. Everyone looked at each other, and Manager Ing immediately shouted, "The cultivation technique exchange will be postponed for 3 days." Lin Chen looked at her with admiration. Manager Ing had directly postponed the cultivation technique exchange for him. However, a large part of it was because the other saints were also very interested in it. "Lin Chen, why didn't you say anything when you left Wulong City?" "Haha, the heroes of the world are from our generation. Sir Lin Chen is really a heaven-defying person of this generation." At this moment, Zui Lao Weng and the others were walking together with several super geniuses and Shangguan Chen from the Divine Flame Palace. Among them were Yu Xen who seemed to be angry yet gentle like water, and the mischievous Feng Shui. "Hey, Senior Zi Lao Weng, I was afraid that I would cause a commotion if I left because I'm too handsome. I just like to keep a low profile. Miss Xin and little sister Schwerer, long time no see. Come give me a hug. Oh my God, who kicked my butt?" When everyone saw each other again, a few gazes could be faintly seen coming from a private room not far away, staring at Lin Chen and the others. This is that Lin Chen? His body refinement realm was 280 revered force. Although his acupoint expansion realm was shocking, he was still only in the acupoint expansion realm. Is it worth it for senior brother to be wary of him? In room 18, the corners of an incomparably handsome man's mouth curled up slightly, forming a sinister and vicious grin. "He crippled my cousin, Xiao Jing. It's not that simple. I'm going to trample on this brat and make him beg for death." The VIPs in booth 18 were all from the Absolute God sect. The young man who was as handsome as a woman was a big shot ranked 1795th on the Demon Genius ranking. He was known as Xiao Jianqing, one of the 100 great sword saints below the Saint Talent ranking. Is someone targeting me? Lin Chen's spiritual perception was extremely strong, and he immediately noticed the hostility in room 18. Interesting. It seems that they have a grudge against me. Lin Chen smiled playfully. However, he had offended so many people that it was normal to have a few enemies. After all, being handsome also attracted hatred. Some people in the world had a deep understanding of this. In the private room, Zui Laoweng smiled and asked with great interest, "Lin Chen, what are your plans after this? Do you want to start a sect in the heavenly sanctuary?" He knew that Lin Chen liked freedom and was unwilling to join a sect, so he simply asked directly. There were all kinds of forces in the heavenly sanctuary. If they could get Lin Chen to take root in the heavenly sanctuary, it would be extremely beneficial for them. Start a sect? Plans? Lin Mu shook his head and laughed. "I'm not interested. I have a lot of things to do. Wherever I go, I'll go." Zui Laoweng was surprised. In an instant, He seemed to see a sea of stars in Lin Chen's eyes. Lin Chen was not only worried about by Ruoyan, but also Luo Yao and the demon-human race. With Luo Yao identity, since she had pointed out that there were important changes in the demon-human race, it proved that there might be great changes in the demon-human race in the near future. Most importantly, he was still too weak. Even if he knew the demon-human race's dimension, he could not enter. Let's settle the matter in front of me first. Lin Chen put aside his thoughts and continued to ask Zui Laowang and the 3 super monsters beside him about the Divine Flame Palace. 3 days passed in a flash. In the venue, when Chen Shuiying opened her bright eyes, 10 icy cold pillars rose around her, and a gust of cold air suddenly arrived. Buzz! Boom! The cold air was like a tide, and the entire venue seemed to have fallen into a world of ice and snow. If it were not for the fact that the saintesses present were ordinary people, they would have been completely frozen into ice sculptures by this bone-chilling frost. When she absorbed the cold air into her body, she opened her eyes and couldn't help but exclaim in shock. Not only did he cultivate it to perfection, but he also seems to be innately skilled in this cultivation technique. It's like a part of his body and he can control it freely. Amazing, too amazing. As soon as she said that, the various saints were shocked, and many saints looked as if they had seen a ghost. Cultivating an intermediate orange-grade cultivation technique to perfection in 3 days. Was there really such a magical thing in the mortal world? Unless it was the legendary Einherjar bloodline. But the Einherjar bloodline was even rarer than the Saint Talent ranking. This was obviously not the case. This kid actually did it? No, I have to get Lin Chen's special Tiani holy water. My cultivation technique has been stuck at the last step of perfection for tens of thousands of years. Maybe this kid can help me solve this cultivation technique problem. All the forces noticed Lin Chen and were shocked. After Chen Shuiying suppressed her shock, she waved her hand, and a cultivation technique jade was simplified into a stream of light and shot into room 7. This is the reward you asked for, Prince Lin Chen. I hope to trade with you again next time. Lin Chen grasped the 1,000 illusionary star stepping steps in the air. You're welcome. It's just a trade. I only enter other people's bodies, not their lives. Lin Chen smiled casually, threw the cultivation technique to Jian Qingqing, and winked at her. Jian Qingqing smiled and could only accept it. Seeing this, the little demon empress' eyes lit up. Zui Laowang and the others looked at Lin Chen in disbelief. How many more secrets did this young man have? Yuxian sighed in amazement. Prince Lin Chen, your secrets are endless. Lin Chen laughed mockingly. Don't try to guess what a handsome guy is thinking. Although Manager Ing was shocked on the stage, she was very professional and immediately said, "Since it's confirmed that it's effective, our cultivation technique exchange will continue." The cultivation technique exchange continued. Everyone looked at room 7 and clicked their tongues in amazement. Many rank 8 forces, especially the super geniuses, had their eyes on Lin Chen. Among the many cultivation techniques they cultivated, there were many trump cards that were extremely difficult to cultivate. If they could cultivate them to perfection, their foundation would be better. However, the next cultivation technique made Lin Chen's eyes light up. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.